Hello there.
Anytime, Alison. All right, then.
Oh, goodness. Oh, no. I was muted.
I told
Okay,
you.
all right, no.
Okay, just do it.
I was actually doing it.
Yeah,
okay?
well, you're muted.
Coming to you live from deep within the radioactive wasteland. We are the survivors of the alt-right apocalypse. The few, the brave, the bitchy, once more wading into battle against the froggy lobster zombie hordes with Fundzerker number 173. Did Ethan destroy Pearl? Let's take a look at her debate game. Number 3.
Part 3.
There you go.
Yeah.
Part 3. I actually got through the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because I fucked up by not unmuting myself beforehand. So I got the fuck up all out of the way, and then I didn't fuck up. There you go.
Yeah.
So in a sense, I didn't fail. You see that?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, if I said hello at the end of the show, I think that would be... But anyway, so Karen is going to be here shortly. She's not here right now, but we're going to start without her. So let's let's get into the video. But before we do that, do the thing.
The thing, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. We got 3 hours left. 3 full hours left on the fundraiser and $655 to go. That is quite leaving it quite to the wire. So if you are able to help, please do so now. We have there's no time. This is it. If you're listening to me now, you are the last. You're our last hope, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
That's it. We're down to it. So please go to feedthebadger.com/support. $5, $10, everything counts now because we're in. Like we just got if we can just get that nose a millimeter out further, yeah, it's going to count a lot. So feedthebadger.com. I guess I'm going to probably have to do some serious arm twisting. We may have to fall on the feminist screeching, whatever version of which it's not copyrighted.
Yeah.
Just as an extra twist of the arm. But anyway, 3 hours left. Got him. Put him in. Feedthebadger.com. This is it. This is the moment. This is your moment. If you're out there and you're thinking, oh, it won't matter. Yes, it does. It does matter. It matters huge. Right now, feedthebadger.com. All right, let's just get into it. You know.
All right, everybody, smash like so that you can increase our chance of reaching more people. And greetings to the Rumble Gang. Where you at, Rumble Gang? Okay, so we're gonna check out more of this debate between Ethan Klein and Pearl Davis. All right, so let's jump in. This is we're currently on the segment called "Men Can't Opt Out from Being Parents and Feminism." This is what he's named these segments, but let's just play some of this. Oh, I gotta increase the speed here. This is so that we can get through stuff faster, but also it protects us. All right, here we go.
The choice in the sense that they can just wear a condom.
Right.
If
and
they don't want to be a father.
Yeah, right. But women have the choice to go on birth control.
Okay.
Women have the choice
ultimately,
to take Plan B. Women have the choice to get an abortion. Women have the choice to, take the morning after pill. Women have the choice. You've like IUD. There's a million pills.
right, but those will have to do with pregnancy. But I'm saying, if a man
women also can require men to put on condoms or not put on condoms.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Women.
What was that?
The man? Doesn't the condom also relate to pregnancy?
Well,
also STD.
Yes, but I think
What a disingenuous fucking statement.
Yeah, he's a weaselly scumbag. There's literally like women have 17 forms of birth control just to prevent getting pregnant, and then after that they have endless options. Men have none. They have condoms and that's it, or getting your tubes tied, which like a vasectomy,
permanent.
Which I wouldn't recommend. I mean, I've heard they're reversible, but I think it's just excessive. If you can't, if you can, just avoid sex with women. Basically, I mean, it's probably better. So,
yeah, it's probably healthier for you.
I mean, if you're worried, right? If you're worried, that's what I say. But
okay, but ultimately, not only do they have abortion, and incidentally, in the U.S., the U.S. has more liberal abortion laws than Europe.
Oh yeah. Oh
The
yeah.
U.S. I think they might be more liberal than Canada, or at least some places in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you guys got the best abortion. Like, if you're pro-abortion, you got the best abortion laws in the world. So I'm not sure why all American women are like freaking out.
It's not enough. It's never enough. That's
It's
why.
not enough.
No, it's not.
It's not enough. It's never enough.
It's got to be like 100% all the time. You know, after birth, like it's got to be paid for by men or by the government, which is the same thing. It's not enough. Like it's got to be like all the way. So
American women, no offense, but you guys are really freaking entitled. Not saying that Canadian women are any different, but Jesus Christ, like even in Europe, European women are a little bit more sane about maybe we should cut it off at like 6 weeks, 12 weeks. But American women are like, I want to be able to bash my baby's brains against a brick wall up to 6 years. And everybody's like, oh yeah, that's okay. You're right.
Yeah,
American woman.
Put that in paper. Yeah,
put that
really.
on paper.
Write that down.
Like, really. I mean, American women even have baby disposal units. And honestly, Canadian women are not better, because we successfully lobbied to be able to kill our infants and not have it be murder. So there you go.
Well,
so
now you can kill grown-ass adults and not call it murder. So the government does it.
But like the ultimate point of this, and again, I just want to remind everybody that the real argument here has nothing to do with solve the problem of the draft. Just going back to the draft, it has to do with whether or not the existence of the draft is a counterpoint to feminist conjecture, feminist allegation, and it is. So the fact is, okay, we can look at the past where men had to go to war in order to get the vote. That invalidates the feminist view of the past. If you understand the draft and its relationship to the say in the state, it completely invalidates the feminist view of reality, period.
Mm-hmm.
There's just no way you can understand what the draft is and what it means and be a feminist. You can't. All right?
Mm-hmm.
And saying that, but feminists are blah, 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 that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because they're still not allowing that to inform their worldview. So they're dismissing the reality of the draft by not allowing it to reform their worldview. And again, if you understand it, you can't be a feminist. You can't allege that in the past men were living the high life while women were being subjugated.
Mm-hmm.
No, because the draft is the 100% counter to that, or the expectation that men protect their communities. So they give up everything, every privilege, every right, even their lives, to protect the society they're supposedly privileged by? No, that's not how it works. It doesn't make any sense. But the reason why I bring this up is that there is an overarching argument here. And what this guy keeps doing, what Ethan keeps doing, is pulling Pearl into the weeds. So one, the existence of the draft is a counter-argument, is the most powerful counter-argument to feminist understanding of history. And it's 100% a counter-argument to feminists believing now we live in a patriarchy. 100%. No, we don't. We live, if you want to look at this honestly, we live in a society that privileges women over men. Now we're talking about rights, physical rights, bodily autonomy in connection to sex and reproduction, right?
Yep.
So again, what I'm telling you is that the context of this discussion is whether or not feminism is an accurate allegation against society, because it's an allegation. Like it's alleging that society is a negative criminal enterprise in these ways. And we are looking at the proof of this and the counterproof of this. And one of these things is men's rights to bodily autonomy in reproduction and sex. And she's pointed out that women have all of these options. I don't even think we need to go there. But let's conclude this.
Well, but this is where I think they think the fight is happening. Now, of course, if you stick with, like you said, bodily autonomy, so that includes circumcision, right to like basically have any say in the event of a pregnancy, which men don't have, child custody, divorce court, and the draft. Well, I mean, Pearl doesn't even. She just has the facts on her side. So this isn't even something that, like, if Ethan made a good enough argument, would immediately make those things untrue. She just has to say, this is just true. Like, you can't refute it. You can't blame a patriarchy for it. It's just the truth, and you're just fighting with it because in your mind, in your small worm brain, you can't figure out, like, you can't conceive of a world where men are making sacrifices every day and they're actually doing it for women's benefit because you've been told the opposite for, like, your whole life, probably.
Men can also require that the men that they sleep with wear condoms.
Right, but if it's inherent, if it's inherently unfair to men, the easy solution is just it kills all this discussion is men just put on condoms when they have sex. Therefore, that.
Well, you can also say women close your legs, like.
Yeah, but you're the one saying that it's unfair for men. That's my point. You're saying men don't have a choice.
I'm saying women.
What?
All right. Okay. There was something I wanted to add to that. Now, we have to be very clear here, right? When feminists talk about patriarchy, they will appeal to the anthropological observation that dominant male animals in a social mammalian species tend to occupy the positions of leadership. And they will say that that means that human society is constructed for the benefit of men at the expense of women. Now, the anthropological, the biological observation that dominant males occupy the positions of leadership in every social mammalian species on the planet. I mean, there is also some female leadership going on, but for the most part, dominant males occupying the position that's closest to the danger, usually. Okay, that is just a biological observation of gender or sex roles in the animal kingdom. Okay, and I want to take it out of patriarchy is male, blah blah blah, in a human context. It's bullshit because it doesn't just exist in the human context. It exists among all social mammals. They all have this hierarchy, and there may be a female hierarchy as well, but usually the male is the one that's primarily dealing with external threats to the community, right? So let's separate that observation of reality from their allegation that somehow creates a structure in which men are privileged and benefited over women. That separate allegation, okay, that is completely separate from the observation that in social mammalian species, dominant male animals occupy the positions of leadership, and specifically the positions of dealing with external threats, leading and dealing with external threats, separate from the allegation that society is constructed for the benefit of men at the expense of women. Now, that allegation is 100% disproven. It does not. This is 100% disproven. It has, first of all, it's never been proven to any standard, not a scientific standard, not a criminal court standard, not a civil court standard. And based on a scientific standard, it's already been disproven, period. And that the reason why is because they have never discovered any evidence that anyone in our society, that there is a critical mass of people in our society that would prefer to protect and provide for men over women. There's nobody in our society that does that, who wants that. Okay, we come closest, us here on Honey Badger Radio, we come closest, and all we're doing is saying we need to put men first for a change, not to completely exclude women from benefit, but that we need to focus on how to help men for a time. Not forever, but just until we deal with these issues, right? Okay, we come the closest. Like, we are patriarchy. We are the closest evidence that there exists anyone who wants to put men first in terms of protection and provision. Okay, nobody else does. So right there, the feminist allegation that putting men in positions of power results in a society that privileges men over women is false. That's their allegation, and it is false. Okay? when we look at the evidence, so that's what they were doing now. We're looking at the evidence of the falsity or the accuracy of this allegation that society puts men ahead of women. And I just want to frame this and go back to the argument over and over again, because you see, that's the way I argue. I go back to the essential facts of the case and what we're actually arguing and whether or not this evidence reflects that. All right. And once again, we're bringing up this argument around reproduction, and bringing it down to the argument of reproduction. We don't even have to look at all of the various things that women can do. Women can use birth control. Women can have abortions. Women can use safe haven, abandonment, or adoption, right? We don't have to look at all of that. All we have to look at is the legal reality of men versus women. For women, consent to sex is separate from consent to parenthood. Legally, it is legally separate. So someone can't say a woman consented to sex, therefore she consented to parenthood. And if they did, if we were in a society that did say that, women wouldn't have abortion and they would not have safe haven, abandonment, or adoption. Or at least if they adopt, they would still be obligated to do child support for the child. Okay? So women can separate consent to sex from consent to parenthood, and it is a legal reality that they can do so that they are not expected to assume parenthood duties because they consented to sex. All right? And what's the actual legal situation for men? Let's compare that situation for women to the actual legal situation for men. The actual legal situation for men when it comes to reproduction and sex is that legally the courts separate a man's consent.
What? Hello? You muted yourself, Alison.
Okay, sorry. Legally, geez, that's really easy to do.
Yeah, well.
Okay, I'm going to move my mouse. Legally, the courts separate a man's consent to sex from his consent to parenthood. All right? Do you know why they do that? Why don't you guess, Brian?
Why do they separate a man's consent to sex from his consent to parenthood?
You want to know why? I'll give you. Do you think you can guess why?
I mean, I would imagine that they want men to pay for the child, so they don't want to give them a say. I mean, I don't know.
This is the answer. This is the answer. Legally, men's consent to sex is separated from their consent to parenthood, so that they can force men who are raped to take responsibility. So in other words, a man can't argue, hey, I didn't consent to the sex, so I didn't consent. No, legally, and this is court precedent, a man cannot argue that he didn't consent to the sex in order to avoid parental responsibilities. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the sex was as a result of rape, theft, in other words,
contraception, sabotage.
That's what I think she means by that. Yeah.
A woman forging her husband's ex-husband's signature at a fertility
clinic. Yeah,
does not matter, because a man's consent to sex is irrelevant in determining his responsibilities as a parent. So raped men, pay up. You are a parent. You don't have any right to avoid that.
Boys who had sex with their teachers at age 13, they still have to pay child support. They don't have to start paying until they're 18, but the child support starts accruing from the day the baby is born. And so they'll just have a whole bunch of back child support to pay if they don't get a paper route and, become a camp counselor or whatever in the summers.
That's right.
To earn a little money to pay the child support that's accruing.
Oh no! If your
parents don't pay.
A parent of a young man, if your young man is raped by a teacher, you're going to be losing that Winnebago you've been saving for, or his
college fund,
tuition, his college fund. You're going to be paying Mrs. Robinson for the privilege of raping your child. Like, think about that.
And then if you want visitation rights or any custody rights at all, right? You have to apply for those in court. because your responsibility to support that child has nothing to do with your rights to have a relationship with that child.
So your son can be raped. So not only does he have to take, not only is it not like there's a separation legally, which allows courts to force a raped man to take responsibility for a child conceived through him having been raped. It doesn't matter if he's a minor. He's still responsible.
Yeah,
he's still as responsible as an adult man. That's the legal situation for men.
But he has no rights to that child, whether he wants them or maybe he doesn't want them. But if he wants them, he has no rights to that child unless he pays to apply in court. Like, unless the rapist is like really generous and just says, okay, well, here, I'll give you 50-50 custody, or I'll give you every other weekend and every Wednesday, right? And writes out a contract, and you both sign it and have it notarized, right? And neither of you have to pay for a lawyer. If she doesn't want to do that, then you have to go to court and pay all the costs involved in applying to the court for granting, to be granted some kind of rights to that child.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so this is the legal situation. This is the legal situation for men versus women when it comes to reproductive rights. So we don't need to talk about, condoms, birth control, abortion, any of this stuff. This is what's legally the case in black and white. Mm-hmm. It's why feminists, when they try to create some kind of analogy to taking away women's reproductive rights, and they're trying to create it for men, they have to do something like, what if we propose that men be legally raped by werewolves every 5 weeks?
During the new moon. Yeah.
During the new, and some really, really stupid thing that has absolutely nothing, like it's not parallel at all. It's because men don't have reproductive rights to take away. They aren't even protected when they're rape victims. And that's what is situation legally.
Even if abortion didn't exist, even if birth control didn't exist, you know what does exist? Safe haven abandonment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
De jure, right? In terms of the letter of the law for both parents. De facto, no. Because the man
gets charged with kidnapping.
Yeah, they would have to rip, if he doesn't have the agreement of the woman to the mother to abandon that child legally, right? He has to take the child from the mother, abandon the child, right? And then she just has him charged with kidnapping. She gets the child back, and she still gets the child support.
Yeah, he's in jail
now. He's in jail now and accruing child support every moment he spends behind bars.
So there's no actual way for men to walk away from parenthood, even if they're raped, even if they're underage. They have to assume the adult responsibilities of parenthood. So that is the legal reality. And once again, I want to reiterate the framework that we're making this argument in. This argument is whether or not the stuff that we're bringing up, the proof that we're bringing up and talking about, supports or negates the feminist conjecture that we exist in a society that benefits men over women. They're gonna shuck and jive about how men in power, blah blah blah. It doesn't matter.
Created by men, right? A set of rules and a set of systems, right? Created by men to benefit men over women, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you can argue, and I would certainly argue, that the system is largely created by men.
Yes.
And every single fucking rule in this system that involves, like my female privilege checklist, right, that I posted on my blog years ago, right? It got a comment. Oh, so what you're saying is that women only have privilege when they're raped or abused or whatever, right? And I'm like, yeah, in the absolutely life-shattering, life-destroying circumstances of rape, domestic violence, war, right? The things that can kill you, the things that can ruin your life, right? Yeah, that's where women have privilege over men. That's where men do not have privilege. Now, you tell me, right? whether you would, if you knew that you could always get custody of your kids, or virtually always, you could maintain custody, right? You would never be separated from them, except if you were really abusive, right? You knew, right, that you could trade that certainty, right, that your children are yours, right, for 10 cents on the dollar in wages, if the wage gap was real, which is not, but for 10 cents on the dollar, right, that you would never have to be drafted for war, and all it costs you is 10 cents on a man's dollar, right, or 10 cents less than a man's dollar, right? If you knew you'd never have to be drafted and go die in war, if you knew that if you did something wrong to someone, if you committed a crime, you'd get off easier, right? If you knew that if you were raped, you had options, and those options involved adoption, abandonment, abortion, right? Maybe you were even on long-term birth control because you have that option, right? Men only have condoms, right? So maybe you don't even get pregnant and create a child in the first place, or a fetus in the first place.
Good luck for, I mean, in this case, what's to say, Ethan has basically said men who are raped, have the option of condoms. I'm just putting that out there because it's connecting to what he said there.
Yeah.
Men who are raped have the option of condoms. No, men who rape have the option of condoms.
Yeah, but they're talking about like men's
when men are so drunk out of their mind that they're passing out and the woman just mounts them without their permission.
Or she drugs them, or she forces herself on him, or she goes and takes his condom off and takes, inseminates herself, pokes holes in it, right? Like whatever it is.
Takes his condom and retrieves the semen and inseminates herself later. That's a case. That's a real case.
That happens.
In fact, before the court, they found that the court found that the woman had done that. That she saved the semen in her mouth from oral sex, spit it into a cup in the bathroom, right? And then after the guy left, she impregnated herself with it, right? And the reason he wouldn't have vaginal sex with her, he would only have oral sex with her, is because he didn't want to have kids until he was married, and he wasn't sure whether he wanted to marry her.
Wow.
Yeah. And the court agreed to all those facts.
Yeah.
The court said this happened, he's still responsible.
All right, well, that's
exactly what I was talking about. Okay,
we should continue though.
Legally, the legal situation, the men's consent to sex is separate from their consent to parenthood legally. So the courts can force them to consent to parenthood, even if they haven't consented to sex or the type of sex. Like, they haven't consented to reproductive sex. So black and white, the situation is that women, black and white, have reproductive rights.
Yeah.
They can separate their consent to sex from their consent to parenthood. Men do not. Period. They just don't.
Yeah.
And that's another point in the column of, does this prove feminist conjecture that society is constructed for the benefit of men at the expense of women? No.
Right.
In fact, this is another fundamental proof of the opposite. Because being able to control your reproduction is a fundamental right.
Yeah. Well, it really goes to show that, like, they only have females only have privilege, like in these horrible situations, when they're being beaten or they've been raped or blah blah blah, and it's like, in all the situations that ruin people's lives, that lead them to commit suicide, right? That actually, like, your male privilege checklist involves, well, if Karen has to talk to the manager, his name is more likely to be Bob than Karen. Like, how is that a privilege? Especially when Bob will be nicer to Karen than Karen would.
Shall we continue? I'm going to play some more.
Women have
Right.
like 10 choices. The men have,
But that's just biology.
the men have condom or no condom, which again is a choice that both of them make, because the women can require that the men wear condoms too.
Right.
But you're only putting that
But
on
it's in the men. I'm just saying.
okay.
I'm saying you.
Once the baby is conceived,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Then the man has no choice, where the woman has a choice.
Okay, so let's just talk about that then, because so
Hi, Jojo. Sorry. He wants to leave, babe. Let him out. He doesn't want to be around me.
it's your opinion that if a woman is pregnant, the man should be able to decide for her to have an abortion.
I'm pro-life, so I would ban it altogether. My point is the double standard, where a man is legally obligated to pay child support and will go to jail if he doesn't, but the woman has the choice to not be a mother through abortion,
or abandonment, or adoption. She can like just go on her merry way, never tell the guy she got pregnant, and go to Utah, adopt the child out without him even knowing he was a father, right? And then he finds out he's a father and his kid's been adopted out from under him, and he goes to court and he fights for years, and what does he win? The right to visit the kid on school holidays, in the supervision of the adoptive parents.
I want to point something out. This is all really explained, like the fact that he scoffed.
Yeah,
it was really explained by the fact that, I'm sorry, but societies hate male sexuality.
They really
and they
do.
hate the idea.
I think it's dangerous.
They hate the men. Well, not just dangerous. They hate the idea that men are getting access to male sexuality without taking responsibility. All right, that's just a hatred that all societies seem to have, and you can understand why.
Yeah, and the only difference.
Most of the societies are like families, and those families have to raise the child of any promiscuous man who comes through, which is why, in general, throughout all of human history, promiscuous women would have a scarlet
stigma.
letter put on their dress, and promiscuous men would be drawn and quartered, hung, had his throat slit, put on an ice floe, shoved off a cliff. Like, we don't want you, fuck off. And that hatred is coming out here in Ethan. He does not like the idea that a man got sex without an expectation of responsibility, and the courts agree with him.
Yeah,
and
no, and
the man is raped.
Yeah, no, and it's hilarious because like the sexual revolution was about untrammeling women's sexuality. It was about uncaging it, right? Because the difference between societies is not in how they view male sexuality; it's in how they view female sexuality, right? So some societies are like, well, we can't afford to let either male or female sexuality just loose to do whatever it frickin' wants, right? And other societies are like, well, that just, it makes it really hard to, it's kind of unfair to women that, that they can't do whatever they want sexually. So we should just make it as easy and consequence free as possible for them to have sex when they want it. And but if they don't want it and it happens anyway, then there's going to be consequences for that man, because everything should be up to the woman. Everything, whether she has sex, doesn't have sex, whether there's a baby at the end of it or not, all of those decisions, those should be centered in the woman. And so how do you have free love, or the sexual revolution, the freedom to just have sex with whoever you want, as long as they're consent? How do you have that and still maintain male responsibility? Well, you just make the males more responsible, right? So when a man and a woman have been drinking, they're like drunk out of their minds, and they have sex, he raped her, right? Because his drunkenness does not negate his consent. It actually makes him more responsible, because now he's responsible for her consent. And he has to make her decision for her, and that decision always has to be no. Except, on those odd occasions when she wakes up in the morning and she doesn't regret what happened because he looks like, what's his name, that quarterback, Brian would know. The one. God
What are you
damn
talking about? A
The
quarterback?
quarterback, he's so handsome.
Brett Favre?
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady. Okay, Tom Brady.
Yeah, he looks like Tom Brady, and he's rich, and he wants to date her, and he's returning her phone calls, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Now, like, there was an article on Jezebel, feminist woman. She's like, yeah, technically, the first time I had sex with my husband, I was raped, but.
Oh God.
But
Should we play some? Should we play some more?
I really liked him in the morning, so
No, actually,
I married him.
I should chill because we have 2 hours left, and we still have.
Yeah, I'm sorry I was so late, guys.
No,
My
all
dance card filled up like at 10:38 this morning.
We might make
whole
it.
Day.
We might make it, Alison, because JoJo's here and he's chewing on his chew toy on the camera. So I'm hoping JoJo will bring us a couple of extra donations. Hi, JoJo.
Oh, JoJo.
You see him? Look at him. Look at him. Look at him.
Okay. All right, guys, you got.
I can't see him.
Oh, you got to look at this live stream.
Oh, I gotta look at this stream.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, guys, make sure that JoJo is able to have his doggy treats. Go to feedthebadger.com/support and help us out. We have now $555 left and 2 hours left.
Mm-hmm.
Please help us. I really want to make this, it would be great to be able to continue. So feedthebadger.com/support. Make sure that JoJo gets his doggy treats, eh? And I also want to do some thank yous, pull out some, and maybe we might have to do some feminist screeching for real. If we don't get some movement. I do want to thank Richard B. Remote Ruby for $100. Thank you. Remote Ruby's been doing a lot of heavy lifting lately.
Most impressive.
And Kevin C for $10. Thank you, Kevin C. And Remote Ruby. Please, guys, if you got it, help us out now. This is when it really matters. 2 hours left. So
thank you.
Let's thank you.
Oh, happy Canada Day, everybody.
Yeah,
happy Canada Day.
Hosers.
Yeah.
Wake up, eh?
All right, let's play some more of this.
I know you're against abortion, but I just want to know what you mean. So let's just say we're trying to make it equal for men. So should men be able to decide for women to have an abortion if she's pregnant?
No, that's the biggest straw man ever, and it comes up every time. No, what we're saying is, if the man didn't agree to have sex, or if the man doesn't agree to take on the responsibility of a father, the woman can take the child and look after it herself.
Yeah.
He doesn't deserve his money because he didn't agree to any of it.
Yeah, also this is getting into the weeds again. It's getting about solving the problem rather than recognizing that the existence of this situation delegitimizes feminist conjecture. This is something that I spoke to with a feminist about. I said, the situation as it is means that raped men are forced into parenthood, period. That's
responsibilities. The responsibilities, none of the benefits.
Yeah, they don't actually get to be parents. They just have to pay for the child.
They don't get to be parents, but they're forced into the responsibilities of parenthood. They're forced to financially pay for children that were conceived during rape. And this is not an insignificant thing. If you look at the statistics on Made to Penetrate in the last year, which is when men will be forced to have, rape babies, forced to take responsibility for rape babies, is the statistics on the last year, not the lifetime statistics. Men are equally likely to be forced to have sex, reproductive sex, as women. So they're equally likely to be forced into being parents as a result of rape, or very close to equally. All right, so this is a big, big problem. There are a lot of men out there.
They're not equally. The problem is they're not equally likely to be forced into being parents because the woman can opt out, right? She can opt out of parenthood, right? He can't. So it's like, okay.
Yeah.
She makes all of his parental decisions for him, whether he's a father, whether he's not a father, whether he gets to see the kid, whether he just has to pay for the kid. Right, all of those things. The government has her back on all of that, right? If he goes to court to apply for some form of custody or visitation rights or whatever, right? If she doesn't want to give him that, she probably, especially if she's on welfare, she will get legal aid to fight him. Mm-hmm. She qualifies for legal aid to fight him in court.
Absolutely.
He has to pay for all that battle himself while he's paying the fucking child support.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it's like, and if she doesn't even disclose to the child support agency or the welfare or whatever until the kid's 6 years old, well, he's got a nice big debt built up already. He's already taken an 80% garnish on his paycheck just to pay the back child support that he owes. That for a child he only discovered today that he had.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is the reality for men.
Yes, and if we want to give women all of these choices, including the choice to force a man to be responsible for a child, we are going to, by definition, be forcing raped men to take responsibility for children after sex they did not choose. Okay, that's by definition, and it's not inconsiderate. I did the numbers. According to Rain's 5% of unprotected sex will result in children. That's something like 70,000 men. Now, realistically, it's probably
a year
less than that. A year. 70,000 men we are condemning to having to support a child conceived by them being forced into sex by a woman. Now, that's the upper bound. Probably it's lower than that. That is not inconsiderate. That is not. I mean, feminists go on and on and on about what the 300 women a year who are killed by their partners. Many of them killed by lesbians, but they don't talk about that. You know, like they go on and on. 70, like it's in the tens of thousands. We know that. In the tens of thousands. This is not this is not a small problem. This is a substantial problem. And if we're going to continue on with what we're doing legally, that means we are okay with it. Now, all right, if lawmakers say, you know, we're just going to sacrifice men for this because we think it's important that women have these choices, that women get money, even if they're rapists, that's just the way it is. Okay, I'll swallow the horror of that. But not only do they do that, they insist on continuing to assert that this situation is evidence that women are not benefited by society and instead men are. They continue to present this situation in such a way to deny reality and to even deny the sacrifice of these raped men who are being raped and forced into parenthood so women can have choices. They refuse to acknowledge that and put it into their calculus about how society works. Now, I know that not putting this into their calculus is going to lead to some really shitty, fucked up situations in the near future for everyone. Because if we lie to ourselves, eventually we will hit the wall. Okay, if we lie to ourselves. But at the same time, it's also really fucking horrifying to expect this sacrifice from men, and then to double around and say, "Oh yeah, you're privileged. You get the benefits." Really? Everywhere I see these sacrifices expected of men. And then they turn around and they sacrifice them psychologically, again, by forcing them to acknowledge that they are benefited by this system. Or forcing this fiction that men are benefited. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. Tens of thousands of men are raped, likely that result in some kind of conception, in a conception. They are then forced to take responsibility for a child conceived by having been raped. Just let that sink in. And our society is like, yeah, that's okay.
And they don't even
acknowledge it.
They don't even get any rights to the rape baby. And here's the thing too, right? Because yes, women who are raped sometimes get pregnant. Oh, the big fat hairy deal, right? Do you remember years ago when the argument was, oh, and there are some states in the U.S. where a rapist can apply for, visitation rights and custody rights to his kids, to the rape baby. And it's like, yeah.
After he goes to a gun show and just buys a gun without a background check, right?
Yeah, I know. It's and I'm like, okay, yeah. There are like something like 17 states where they haven't specifically banned that by law. They don't have a specific law saying that if a man was convicted of rape and there was a child resulting from that rape, that he cannot apply for custody, right? Just because he can apply for custody doesn't mean that like he's gonna definitely, that a judge is gonna grant him custody. No, this is a way for men who may or may not be rapists, because let's face it, rape is one of the worst crimes for wrongful convictions and people getting away with it. Okay, it's just just because of the nature of the crime. Okay, so they can apply in court. Okay, and it's usually, if the man is a rapist, it's usually a bargaining chip to negotiate the child support down or out of existence or discourage her from applying for it. Okay, so that he doesn't have to pay for the rape baby if he's the actual rapist. Or he could be someone like Vladik Filler. Vladik Filler was convicted of rape. His conviction was overturned, and he had custody of his kids the entire time because the family court judge, right, realized that his wife was a fucking psycho, and the allegation was likely false, and he was the only responsible parent who could safely be around these kids, right? So while he was battling the rape accusation from his psycho wife, the family court judge had given him full custody of his kids. She only had supervised access. She tried to kidnap them twice, right? Including making threats to daycare staff and social workers. Credible threats, right? And there was a tape of her actually threatening to chop up 2 police officers. She was in the back of the squad car after she'd been picked up after a psychotic break, lost her fucking mind, was walking around naked screaming in the neighborhood, right? They picked her up, and then she's like, my brothers know how to get rid of bodies. I'm going to have them come cut you up, and they're never going to find you. And and they recorded the whole conversation. And the prosecutor in the rape case told the cops to destroy that tape. Told the cops to withhold evidence. Refused to submit evidence. Brady motions galore. And she just withheld exculpatory evidence, right? Then she tells the jury, okay, when she's in her closing statements, she tells the jury, well, if there was any evidence that he didn't do it, surely we'd have seen it.
Shall we?
Yeah.
Shall we continue?
Anyway, so
that's a good example.
Those men are some of the men who apply in court for custody of their rape babies.
Yep. Yeah. And once again, like we don't even care about the tens of thousands of men who are forced to take responsibility for having been raped. Okay, let's just put it right out there. That's just we're going to sacrifice
27 years worth of responsibility too.
Yeah, we're going to sacrifice them for this system so women can have choices. Okay, can we at least acknowledge that we're sacrificing men? Can we do the least bit? And have that inform our attitudes towards this allegation that society is constructed for men's benefit at the expense of women? Good God.
By men for men's benefit. Yeah, no, like, because women would never construct a society that would privilege women. Yeah, but men would construct a society that would privilege men. Yeah, no, here's the actual deal. Confession through projection. Right? I've said it before, and I'll say it 100 million times if I have to, right? Feminists thought about what they would do if they were in power. And they said, well, the men are obviously doing that. The men in power are obviously doing that. They're obviously privileging their own sex at the expense of the opposite sex.
Right.
Yeah, because that's what I would do if I was in power.
Well, that's what they are doing.
Yes.
Like, yeah, it's like do unto others before they do unto you.
Yeah, most women, like I can say most women have at least a sense of fairness, right? Like they might take advantage because the law allows them to, right? And it's convenient at the time, because morality of convenience is like a common thing, right? But this is feminist women. These are the people who have the greatest amount of narcissism, the greatest amount of self-importance, the greatest amount of like, I don't know, like daddy issues and whatever. Like my dad, like Aaron Pitsy said, my dad was a shit, so obviously all men are shit, right? Okay, and they are looking inward into themselves and saying, what would I do if I had power? What would women like me do if we had power? We would be oppressing men and privileging women. And so that's obviously what the men have been doing all this time.
Yeah. Should we move on?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Play a little more.
I think that men should be able to sign off on child support.
Okay, so if they say, hey, I don't want anything to do with this baby, then the woman can decide to have it, but the father will have no obligations.
Yes.
And you think that's better for society?
No, I think that's equal. That's more fair.
Okay, so you're more interested in fairness than the welfare of society as a whole?
No, if it was up to me, if we wanted to go, it's good for society. I don't think abortion should be legal.
No, I know. We're having.
All right, I'm just pausing for the banana.
Yeah, and she has correctly answered you.
Yeah.
And again, he's dragging her into well, how do we solve this problem? No. This is evidence that your conjecture about reality is wrong, sir. That's why we're bringing it up.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to solve these problems here. We just have to recognize that the existence of these issues means that feminist conjecture, feminist allegation is false.
Yeah, that's all you need. That's all you have to demonstrate. Like, yes, there are problems, but you're not offering solutions. You're basically just like trying to reinforce the status quo, which is messed up. And you're trying to do more than that. You're trying to do more harm. So I got some I should read the super chows and I got a Rumble rant. So let me start with the super chows before we continue. Plain Dane gives us $15. Hey Jojo, how you doing, buddy? And says, I think hyenas are the only species that puts females in the footing males would be in other species. Fun fact, people think female hyenas peg male hyenas, but that's not what's happening. A female hyena's clitoris is also the entrance, and because of their biomechanics / anatomy, that's the only practical position for them to mate in. Male hyenas are basically using their penis as a sounding wand, and they have to mate frequently due to the high testosterone levels in the females. High testosterone levels in female hyenas damages their reproductive system. This took a weird turn. I'm sorry, LOL. Well, thank you. Thank you for that. Gave me something to think about. And
it also has a surprise twist, chasing away Karen.
Yeah, Karen, I think she dropped something. She'll be back.
Yeah, probably it's Edmonton internet.
Yeah. And then we got one from Anonymous for $5, and they say, forced to penetrate, I call it forced envelopment or just rape. I mean, yeah, it is rape, but if you're looking at the letter of the law, it's not considered rape yet. Like, not technically. It's sexual assault, I think, at worst. So, and then I got a a Rumble rant from Richard Bier for $1. And he says he should have done an AL instead. I'm not sure if that's AL or AI, because the lowercase L and the uppercase I look the same. But thank you for the Rumble rant. Is there like a problem with Rumble? Like, can you only give $1? Because I noticed that we when we get donations on Rumble, it's just $1. I don't know if that's like a limitation of Rumble. Or...
Well, it's probably they're just the minimum.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, it's fine.
You can give more than $1.
I mean, I'm just wondering.
The thing is that,
yeah, go ahead.
The thing is, maybe they are taking it to heart when we say the best way to give us larger support is through feedthebadger.com/justthetip, which I should have put out there if you want to send us a message.
Well, there's a link in the description too.
Yes, there's a link in the description as well. And welcome back, Karen. You missed the talk about the hyena clitoris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's here, but
I feel you're not. You don't. Do you feel culturally enriched?
Yikes.
Yeah, she's here, but she's not speaking. She'll speak when she can.
Yeah, sure. Her computer probably just went, and she had to restart. So yeah, it kaputted.
Yeah. How much of this are we supposed to get through, by the way?
Well, no, we already got through this section like last time, but since we didn't hit our goal, I just thought we'd just keep going. There's the section we're in is about like fatherhood. Then there's a section on women losing value with age, which we don't have to do. Then there's the bit where he tries to frame Pearl as a racist because of she was quoting Thomas Sowell on something about slavery. And then there's they reflect on after Pearl leaves. So
all right, I just want to point out that so far this has been a completely disingenuous debate.
Yeah.
Because he has not this is going into the weeds, bringing up an issue, like bringing up a men's issues, like men don't have reproductive rights. Black and white, they don't. Period.
Yeah,
that's legally the case. Even if they're raped, they still are expected to assume responsibility for parenthood.
Yeah.
When you bring that up, and he says, well, how do you want to solve it? That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The fact that the problem exists is a counter argument to his assertion about reality. And the fact that he's bringing it into the weeds of, well, we can't, I won't accept that as a counter argument to my allegation about society until you can solve the problem. That is disingenuous.
Yeah. No,
and that's what this has been so far.
It's like, okay, so someone's on trial for murder, right? And they're clearly not guilty of murder. And the prosecution basically says, well, okay, so how do we solve the problem of murder? And it's like, no, we just want you to acknowledge that no murder occurred.
The prosecution says, well, who do you think the murderer is? I mean, you're not going to argue.
I don't fucking know. I just know this guy didn't do it.
No, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. You got to find the murderer. You got to solve the crime before you can allege that this guy's innocent. You have to see. It's just as disingenuous as that. All right. And this was infuriating. No wonder Pearl rage quit. It's unfortunate that she maybe didn't clue in to why her irritation was rising.
Mm-hmm.
But it's because they're being utterly disingenuous. Like Karen said, we're in a trial. We're in the trial. Felony fucking patriarchy.
Yep.
She's bringing up evidence that men are innocent of felony patriarchy, and he's basically saying, "But who
else did it? Who else did it other than your client?"
Yeah, and if you can't solve this mystery, then we must vote guilty.
Well, somebody's obviously guilty, and we need someone to hang for this crime, right? And it's just like, no, you don't. And personally, I don't think that felony patriarchy was actually committed. But even if it was, right? I think it was a conspiracy between men and women, high status men and all women. So, because every time women decided that, well, the times have changed, so we want things to change, within about 25 years, the system had caught up with the change for women, with what women wanted to change.
By that time, the negative consequences of the change is now patriarchy.
Yeah, and it's like, no, the negative, like Gloria Steinem said in that 2006 interview or whatever it was, right? I forget, Katie Couric or someone. Oh, are women still oppressed? And Gloria Steinem's like, oh, they're more oppressed than ever.
Yeah, they're always more oppressed.
She's like, really? How? And she says, well, they have to juggle children and family and career and, and I'm like,
Lord, does anybody...
wait, oh God, they're living with the consequences of feminism.
Bending over at the waist, putting DVDs into DVD players.
Yeah. But just on the weekends, because
the most difficult job on the planet.
Yeah, no, but then during the week they're out being high-powered attorneys, and that's really stressful,
Yeah.
Okay.
At
what point do people look at this and be like, you're just a con artist? And she gets away with it. I bet she said that with a huge fucking grin on her face. No. 70 years of feminism and women are more oppressed than ever. That patriarchy is diabolical. Wink, wink, wink.
Yeah, super diabolical. It disguised itself as feminism, right? It's like, oh, hey, I'm feminism. Would you like me to fix your patriarchy? Yeah, no. That is sneaky snake oil bullshit, right? It's just like, it's just, but then, no. It's, that's just more patriarchy. That's not feminism.
I just got a little bit of patriarchy. My doggo got to go to the lake. My husband took the doggo to the lake. And now the doggo came back and walked right next to me and shook. And now I'm covered in patriarchy.
Sounds like male tree action to me.
Yeah.
There's an ad for that that patriarchy thing. I'm gonna send it to you so you guys can do a raging, because I think it would be perfect. It's so stupid. All right, but anyway, too many male trees. I don't know if you know.
Well, they're the ones that make the smaller, cheaper gametes, and
they make the pollen.
Yeah,
and I mean, most trees are, but they have both. But like some, there are females that like leave fruit everywhere.
Yeah, pot plants.
Yeah,
pot plants are male and female.
Yeah,
they like there are male pot plants and female pot plants, right?
Yeah,
and I think it's the female ones that you don't want.
No, because they make like nuts and fruit, and that makes a mess. So male plants, or trees in this case, they produce pollen. They're jizzing everywhere. You see.
Oh wait.
We're talking about trees.
It's actually you want only female pot plants, because the male pot plants will pollinate the female pot plants, and then they don't produce the super big buds, because female pot plants have to produce, if they're not getting pollinated, if they're not getting fertilized, right, they'll just keep producing bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger buds.
Yeah.
Because they like, if they need a bigger filter, they need a bigger trap for the spores or whatever, the pollen of the male plants. So if you have a male plant, you're going to have like teeny tiny little buds and a ton of seeds, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you have only female plants, so the first thing you have to do, don't ask me how I know this, okay?
All right.
The first thing you have to do is identify which of your plants are male or female. And you have to completely segregate them. If you have any perfectly beautiful female plant, right, that you're like, okay, so I like this plant, I want to breed it, right, make seeds, okay, then you keep one male pot plant way on the other end of the freaking house in isolation behind a glass cage, so none of its jizz escapes, right?
Yeah. And
accidentally fertilizes your plants like 800 feet away. Okay, so yeah, you don't want that.
Right. So
you don't get no buds, but if you have like some really robust female plants and they're producing a lot of bud, and you want to like keep seeding those, right? Then you move one prize female pot plant into that male glass cage, and you breed them together, kind of like dog breeding.
Yeah. All right, we're getting into the weeds. I got a super chow from Great Indoors who gives us $200. Thank you. Thank you so much.
It was the potted buddies.
All right.
and he says, "Nag, nag, nag, Clint Eastwood, The Gauntlet." Thank you. I think that was a quote.
Nag. Yeah,
nag,
no. And then he married that.
nag.
He married that bitch Sandra Locke, and then she did him dirty, and I think he married her twice.
Well, nobody's perfect. Okay, so that was it for that. I mean, Clint Eastwood's pretty dark base, though.
Okay,
oh god,
I had to have a long
Outlaw Jesse Wales was brilliant.
I had to have a long discussion with what the heck the Great Indoors was doing, and because he's Dutch, he has to be difficult. I've
heard that about the Dutch,
Yeah, I'm just teasing. But anyway, we did finally figure it out. He's put through actually the 200 to the fundraiser. So that I applied it to that, and then there was an additional 100 he put through before. So we are now at
thank you
4,485. So if you guys could consider, we have now $205.
That is so
205.
awesome.
So damn close.
Yeah.
So close. 2 hours left. $205. That's pretty damn close. So
I'm really rich.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm really rich.
So, let's do a bit more. You know what? I think we're doing a bit better on this in this one. I don't think people can complain because
he's leaving.
We started. What? Someone's leaving?
Oh, JoJo left.
No, I think
Lindsay's cooking, and JoJo can smell it, and he's gonna go figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
He might come back.
I still can't trust my dogs in the kitchen.
No, he doesn't. He's not that type. He's just a beggar. He won't climb up on the table or anything like that.
Oh, you're so lucky.
Yeah.
Kevin's she'll steal whatever she can.
He just does the eyes,
Oh.
Yeah, I know.
You feel so bad for him.
Yeah.
My husband actually sits, because Kevin loves bananas. She loves banana. And Mike will sit on the sofa, and he'll, crack open a banana. And Kevin's like, oh, it's cracking open a banana. Ah! I had a rat that used to do that. Just jump up on the bars of the cage whenever he heard someone snap the top off a banana. And she'll sit there and she'll look at him. And he'll just slowly, tortuously break off a piece. Off a piece as if he's going to give it to her.
Yeah.
Right? And then he'll slowly, tortuously, bring it up to his own mouth and eat it right in front of her. And he'll just make her sit there. She's just honestly, I don't understand how she hasn't attacked him and ripped his face off yet, because she's a psycho. Yeah. And in the middle of this little display that he does of super dominance, and then he'll give her the tiny little piece at the end. But yeah, no, he tortures her with it, and it's really, and you talk real rude to Alexa. You're constantly telling her to go fuck herself and stuff.
Careful, and you might get locked out of your house or something with what shit's
Amazon's
I was like,
what do you think is gonna? Why do you think I'm always polite to Alexa? I'm always like, thank you.
Yeah, you don't want.
She's like, you bet. Yeah. Because when the AI takes over, when the machines take over, you're the first to die, not me. That's why.
Okay. Let's play some more of the video.
Sorry.
No, that's
all right.
So that's what I'm saying. I'm saying if you want to make it fair, I don't think that's fair that the woman, after she gets pregnant, so they both make the irresponsible decision, right? Because you'd agree it's irresponsible if it's an unplanned pregnancy that the woman, had sex with a guy without protection, right? You'd agree? Yes?
Yeah,
no?
yeah.
Okay. So you would agree that's equally irresponsible when it first happens?
Although I guess by your logic, it would be more irresponsible for the men because he has less choices. But
no,
they're both doing something.
No, it would be more irresponsible for the woman.
Yeah,
because
what do you mean?
Knows. She's the only one who knows whether she's on long-term invisible birth control.
What he just
right?
Did.
And
he's saying what he just did.
He's saying the opposite. She's more responsible because she's the only one who knows her own birth control situation. He just has to take her word for it, right? And believe her or not, right? And she can see whether he's using a condom. She can see whether he put it on. She can see whether he's using it correctly. She can see all of that stuff, right? she can verify that he's using birth control. He can't verify that she is, right? And so she has way more choices, and he only has the one. And maybe she tells him, "Oh, no, I got it covered," right? No condom needed, right? And so she can like lie to him, and he just has to like believe her or not believe her. And so, like, honestly, and his form of birth control is less reliable than any of hers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm sorry, she's more responsible. She's more responsible.
Yep.
She knows if she's been taking her pill properly. She knows if she's got Depo-Provera. She knows if she's got the shot. She knows if she's got an IUD installed. She knows if she's got the Mirena ring. She knows if she's got a sponge inserted. She knows all of those things. Mm-hmm. He does not. He has no way to verify. And I guess he can stick his fingers far up enough to
check,
feel if she's got a sponge or a cervical cap or
one of those plastic
bag
or a diaphragm
things. Yeah, diaphragm or whatever. Or if she's wearing a female condom, which is like some women find real convenient. That's why you see them on convenience store shelves, because women are just buying them up like candy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, they're not. Okay, because they're ugly contraptions that interfere with sexual pleasure. Yeah. And they just And
sure.
If a condom interferes with a man's sexual pleasure, who cares? Right? Who cares?
Yeah.
But
Alison, what were you going to say?
Condom interferes.
Yes, I definitely
interferes with hers, right? And so we've got this plethora of choices, all of them more reliable than the only choice a man has. And that man has to make that choice if the woman insists on it.
Okay, can I just point something out on an existential level? He's just said because men have less options.
They have more responsibility.
They have more but the system is designed so that men have less options or no options, right? So they have more responsibility to protect themselves. So therefore, that justifies them having less options.
You remember Gossip? You remember Gossip?
Okay, let me use a different analogy before we go into that. I'll just put a pin in it, Karen. Let me use a different analogy. Sex is potentially more damaging for women. Therefore, they have more responsibility for rape than men. That's this logic. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not talking about a situation where a woman is raped by a man. Well, obviously, she has more responsibility for the rape happening because she's experiencing more negatives. So she should have been more careful. Get more careful. I mean, this is the logic.
I would actually agree with that, Alison. Yeah, no, I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it, right? Because a woman has because a woman has greater consequences if there's sex without consent, sex that shouldn't have happened, right? She has the greater responsibility to take care. Okay. Be careful, look after her own safety, right? The nut allergy thing, right? I have the responsibility, right? The waiter doesn't have a responsibility to inform me, right? Apropos of nothing, this dessert has nuts in it. No, I have the responsibility of asking, are you sure that this dessert that I want to order has traces of nuts? Right? Because it won't be on the sort of the description on the menu. It'll just be on the ingredient label, may contain traces of nuts, right? I have the responsibility to ask for him to go check that, right? He doesn't have the responsibility to assume that anyone who comes into his restaurant needs to be informed of potential allergens, right? Because you, as the person who suffers the allergy, the deadly allergy, okay, you have a responsibility for your own self-care. You have a responsibility to know which items are likely.
Let me complete the analogy. All right. The logic he's using would be as if we said to women, you are more damaged by rape. Therefore, you are responsible if a rape occurs, and a man is not. And we are going to get rid of rape as a category of crime. Do you understand that? That's what he is saying.
Yeah, well, and that was
men deal with more consequences as a result of unprotected sex. Therefore, that justifies continuing having the situation where they aren't protected.
Yeah, no, it's basically like the closest real life analogy that I can remember is Rushdie's thought experiment of if we just made it so that rape inside a private residence was not a crime, maybe women would take greater care for their safety and not just go into houses on 2 hours acquaintance with random guys. Like he was just like, if women knew that they had no legal recourse, if they were raped after going to a man's apartment after a night of doing shots at the bar at the nightclub, right? If they knew that they didn't have a criminal charge to bring, okay, maybe they wouldn't go home with that guy. Maybe they would look after their own safety. And like, I can see the logic of it.
Got it. Thank you. Yeah, no, I can see the logic, but that's not the point.
Yeah,
okay?
I know, but I can see the
logic. You can see the logic, but you wouldn't necessarily embrace it. Okay.
No, you wouldn't. But that's the same logic as what freaking Ethan is using in reverse.
Yes, that's the same logic. The guy is monstrous. And he thinks that makes sense.
Oh, God, he thinks that it makes sense that the person with the most power has the least responsibility. Like, that's what it boils down to. The person with the most options and the most power in any situation, the power to tell the truth, the power to lie and get away with it, the power to trick the other person, the power, the power as the decider, okay? That person has less responsibility because of that power, and the person who has less power has more responsibility. And then you have to get into this idea that, oh, well, women and hormonal birth control isn't very good for them, and blah 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 blah, and female condoms aren't very convenient, and they're clunky, and they interfere with sexual pleasure, and this interferes with women's sexual enjoyment, and that interferes with sexual enjoyment, and this, that, and the other, and all these reasons why it's not quite like absolutely 100% fucking perfect, feeling like you're barebacking, on Spanish Fly for women, okay? That's what women's birth control is like. So, okay, I can guarantee you that sex with a condom is not as pleasurable as sex without one for a man. So, we are expecting men to give up sexual pleasure in order to keep women safe from the consequences of unprotected sex.
Well, we're expecting a lot. And in this case, this dude is he is deflecting the situation being negative for men. And he's saying the fact that the situation is negative for men means that they need to take more responsibility. And if they haven't, it's justified that they be hit with the negatives of the situation. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, and here's the deal too, right? Because I know where all of this is coming from. It's coming from the same place as that anecdote relayed by that scientist on Hungarian TV or whatever, right? Or no, Brazil. It was in Brazil. About Gossipol, right? Gossipol is a cottonseed derivative, right? And they would cattle ranchers in Brazil would make cottonseed cakes to feed as cattle feed, okay? And what they found was when they fed their cattle, their bulls, these cottonseed cakes, because it's cheap, right? Cheap cottonseed cakes, right? It's like cotton seeds are like a waste product, basically. So they'd feed them to the cows and the bulls. And when they fed the bulls these cottonseed cakes, I think it was cotton seeds, the bulls just kept on mating and mating and mating and mating with the cows, but the cows didn't get pregnant. Okay? So they were like, oh my God, this is like a birth control for males, right? A contraceptive for males that doesn't interfere with sexual function, right? With the ability to get erect, ejaculate, sex drive, all of that stuff. Doesn't interfere with it. And the reason why the bulls kept mating and mating and mating is because the females kept not getting pregnant, right? And so they were like, this could be the answer to a long-term birth control method for men. So it was in the initial stages of study. And he went to like a World Population Forum or whatever in Budapest, right? And he presented his early findings on these bulls and how this is like something that we could really pursue for men, right? As a birth control for men that does not interfere with male sexual function. It just interferes with male reproductive function, right? Now, whatever Gossi poll turned out to be, okay, that was where they were at when he went to this conference and presented this idea. And he said Betty Friedan and all of her feminists stood up and started chanting, no male pill, no male pill, no male pill. And he was like blown away, right? Because feminists are in favor of birth control. Friedan apparently told him that women had fought for decades to be the sole deciders of when they don't get pregnant and when they do get pregnant and with whom they don't get pregnant, with whom they do. And they were not going to give that up. So no male pill. Okay? Gossi poll turned out to be an absolute disaster. It makes men permanently sterile if you use it long term, right? But, okay. But for a while there, it was promising. And the feminists objected on principle alone. They were like, oh my God, this is promising. We need to stop it. We need to stop it right here, right now. No male
I
pill.
don't call that principle, though. On
the principle of an effective male pill. Not on moral principles or ethical principles. On the principle of, like on the idea of a male birth control pill. Temporary, but a long-term but temporary male birth control method that didn't interfere with sexual function, right? They would not stand for that possibility, okay? Because it would interfere with women's sole power of decision. When they get pregnant, when they don't, who with and who not.
Okay. All right, so this is a little bit complicated because, of course, the Dutch always have to make everything complicating when it comes to finance. But I believe we have hit our goal. I have a few thank yous to give. Essentially what happened is Great Indoors wanted to send messages with the donations, so he put them through Super Chow. And then he asked me why he can't do that with the donations, and I'm like, dude, it took me a week, literally a week and a half to set that system up. To send messages through donations or through support through Feed the Badger Just the Tip. And I'm terrified if I do anything to it, that it will stop working.
Yeah, it's going to break completely. Yeah.
It's going to break. So if you want to send a donation and a tip, all I can say is just send like $5. Add $5 to your order, the tip, and then put your message in. Just sorry about that. It's like, it's not easy to change these systems. They're
extremely complex and organic. They're like spaghetti. You start pulling one of the strands, and everything shifts, and then you've got a completely different thing going on.
Okay, so I want to thank. We got a few. First of all, I really want to give a big thanks to Hunzi. And I know how much this $50 means. It's the second $50 that Hunzi has given because he has he deals with stuff. I'm not going to talk too detailed, but this is a result of a lot of care about making sure we get to our fundraiser because he has every reason not to have put in $50 in his life. So thank you, Hunzi. That's a really big thing. I really appreciate it. And then Health Potion Addict put in $100. And while I was trying to iron out the Dutch complexity.
Yeah, I've heard the Dutch are difficult, Alison. Alison.
Yeah. I get to say that because I'm mostly Dutch.
Yeah. I get to say that because I have to work with her.
You guys are like you're saying, oh, you're so autistic, you like the truth. Actually, that's sort of a Dutch thing.
Yeah.
We're really freaking blunt and truthful.
And Alison even once tried to run me over on a bicycle.
Oh, did I?
In Amsterdam. Oh wait, no, it was all the other Dutch.
Yeah. And they try to run you over, like deliberately. You can see it in their eye. They're like, I'm gonna run you over. Pedestrian.
Yeah, you're a pedestrian and you're on the sidewalk and I'm on the sidewalk too. I'm not even in the bike lane.
This is my sidewalk.
And I own the road too. Yes, so I'll like literally just impede vehicle traffic, car traffic.
You know that song "Nobody Walks in L.A." That is Amsterdam too. Nobody walks in Amsterdam. Everybody's on their bike.
Well, in LA, what it used to be rollerblades or some shit, skateboards.
Apex predators. No, everybody drives in LA. Basically, everybody's on their bike in Amsterdam.
It's totally LA is totally different from New York. In New York, nobody drives. There's too much traffic.
Yeah, but everybody's on a bike in Amsterdam, and they're apex predators, and their prey is anybody on foot.
They register bikes. You have if there's a bike in Amsterdam, it's registered, right? They have 30% more bikes than people in Amsterdam.
Weeds. In the weeds.
Yeah, but okay, we're in the weeds, but I'm sorry, the Dutch are screwy.
All right.
They just are.
And also then.
Yeah, no, the Danes too, a little screwy. You know, I went to Denmark and I'd see like young women walking down the freaking walking street in Copenhagen, eating whole cucumbers like they were bananas.
Weird.
I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Ew.
That's a cucumber.
Okay. Any more thank yous, Alison?
Anyway.
Yes, I got some thank yous. So, and then Health Potion Addict put in $55. So we have to thank Hunzi for 50, Health Potion Addict for 55, Health Potion Addict for 100, and then also Great Indoors for another 100 that took a little while to figure out what was going on with.
All right.
So
thank you very much. That's really nice. Thank you.
Thank you. Come again.
Yeah.
All right. So that's that. We've got our fundraiser funded. So thank you. We have like 1 hour and 57 minutes left on the clock.
Ugh.
But it was cool. Yeah, well, you know, it's sometimes it's like that. Sometimes people like to wait till the end.
Yeah.
That's what I've noticed.
Yeah.
This one was pretty cool because as far as I can tell, it didn't have as many large supporters, but it did get to its goal.
Everybody just like banded together.
Chipped in. Yep, and they
chipped in, made a team. They did the chip in, made the team effort. And,
it was a team effort this time, so thank you guys.
Yeah.
And we got there. Like, and also Richard Beard sorry.
All right, I read his super chats anyways, and he puts his name in them. So.
Okay. Thank God.
I mean, his name is in the live chat, and on Rumble too.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Well, anyway, he did a lot of heavy lifting the last two fundraisers. So
yeah, thank you.
Sort of good to give him a break. Thank you.
He is yes. Let me see. I got something for Richard when he enters and gives us a donation.
And his name is John C.
Okay, so we got now another 10 from.
Oh, you did just now another donation?
Yeah. JNA. That's a new guy. JNA gave us $10. Thank you. Yeah. Maybe I should close it off so people know not to give anymore. But thank you all.
Or we could roll it over. Like we do have a rollover plan, right? Whatever you donate to this month's fundraiser that exceeds the total will be rolled over into next month's fundraiser.
Yeah, I already have a little bit of a buffer. I don't like talking about it because I don't want to use it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just add to the buffer and cross my fingers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we could do that. Sure.
It's like it's on it. Never turn down money, Alison.
No,
okay, because I'm the stupid one and I turn down money. So
I just like to get the amount that I ask for, because I know if we get like huge amounts over, people are like, well, why haven't you made that $10,000 spread for 15 years? I'm like, well,
$10,000. This is Canada.
Yeah, I know that's like very little at this point. No, you can't have. No, don't take my. No, you. Okay, go away. You got it from me.
What?
My cat.
Are we gonna stop responding to this bad faith?
No, let's
keep going a little bit. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, because I mean, as thank you for getting us over the line. God, there's no more.
Not even as thank you. Like, honestly, I'm all riled up. I'm all bitchy now, right?
Yeah,
and what you're just gonna let?
Well,
I
think that what Ethan should do is get like one of us on, but I know he never will. So, not only because he'd get demolished, but also because he can leech off of Pearl's followers because she has a bigger number of subscribers. So, and I think that's what this is.
Yeah, there's no upside to getting us on.
Not for him. I mean, there is for, like, I don't know, the rest of the rational world, but no, not for him.
Well, anyone who's actually like wanting to make things better.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, they're both irresponsible. So my point is, after that happens, women have the choice to not be a mother, but men don't have the choice not to be a father. At least, if they don't pay child support, they can go to jail.
Right, because that's for the benefit of the children, which is what's the most important thing.
Oh my fucking God! I don't care. Is like dismembering a fetus and extracting it piece by piece.
Are you pro-abortion though?
That child.
Okay, not even that. Putting a child in a baby disposal unit, which is like what safe haven abandonment is not beneficial to the child. Like, if we had this argument with women, you give birth to it, you have to take care of it. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, you don't get out from it. You don't stop, because no matter what, they say that this is like victimless. This child disposal thing, it isn't. It isn't victimless.
You know why it's not victimless? You know why? Because the state will take custody of that baby. The state will take care of that baby. The state will not adopt out that baby until it's fairly certain that the mother hasn't changed her mind, which is like sometime 6 months, a year, maybe a year and a half, right? So you have this baby, okay, this newborn baby in most cases, right, that you could adopt out to any set of adoptive parents who are on a waiting list to adopt a newborn baby, because that's what adoptive parents generally want. I mean, there are some like philanthropic adoptive parents who are like, I want to adopt a 3-year-old child with special needs and help them out and stuff like that, right? But, or even a teenager, a 13-year-old who's troubled or whatever. You have those people, but they're few and far between. Most of the parents who want to adopt want the full parenthood experience. They want a newborn. They can't have a baby of their own. They want a newborn, and they want to raise it themselves, right? From start to finish. Okay? That's what most adoptive parents want. And there would be lineups around the block to adopt a newborn baby hours after that baby was dropped off at a fire station or a hospital in an anonymous little baby box. Okay? But they won't adopt it out until they're positive the mother, the biological mother, hasn't changed her mind. They give her time. They give her time to change her mind. They give her time to come and say, well, actually, that's my baby, right? And then they give her time to prove herself fit. You know, yes, I abandoned my baby. Okay, so but I want custody of my child. I want my child back. And they're like, okay, so you got to go through all these parenting courses and all of this stuff. And you got to get your shit together. And we'll give you like another year or two to do that. And by the time she's completely failed out of all of that, or hasn't actually engaged any of it at all, okay, and they're sure that the mother is either dead or like isn't changing her mind, okay, that's when they choose to adopt out the baby. So yes, it's not in the best interest of the baby to do safe haven abandonment the way we do it, right? Because what's in the best interest in the baby is to go into the care of a vetted adoptive family. Yeah, not foster care, not an orphanage, but a vetted, an already vetted adoptive family, right? Immediately, as early as possible. And they don't do it. And why don't they do it? Because the woman
needs to have her ass pampered, her ass fucking powdered. God damn. And the thing is that immediate is critical here, because that means the child can start healing from the absolute catastrophic psychological harm of being abandoned by its mother.
Having a bonding and an attachment process to new parents, right? Like this is something, and you can do the thing where it's like, oh, the baby's a few months old and it has to stay with grandma for a while because mom was deployed to Haiti, which happened to my sister, right? So for 6 months, her little baby daughter was raised by my parents. Those are the grandparents, right? And they showed her a picture of mom every evening before bed. You know, they walk her by the picture of mom, and they looked after her. And then mom came back, and then mom took over, and mom wasn't a stranger, and everything. This, daughter was totally fine. Well, that's because that kid went directly into the care, right? Immediately from the care of her mother into the care of her grandparents, and then back into the care of her mother. And it wasn't because there was anything fucked up going on. It wasn't because her mom was a drug addict and was like in detox or something, or in jail or whatever. It was because she was deployed. And everything turned out great, right? But the issue is that, there is a critical stage of development in which this kid needs to basically look at somebody as their primary anchor in life, right? The primary person that they attach to. And that might be a mom, that might be a dad, that might be even a nanny, right? Like I had a friend who had a Chinese nanny for her kids, right? She had like 4 kids, and it was cheaper to get a nanny than to put them in daycare. But this girl who was mostly raised by the nanny during the day, she had a Chinese accent. Karen, we have some present for you under the tree, right? Because but like this is the thing, right? Is that you have this critical phase of development where social relationships begin, where the child actually integrates a form of attachment to a select group of primary caregivers. And those are the people who, and if they don't have a small select group of primary caregivers, whether that's 2 parents and a nanny, or 2 parents and a sibling, or a parent and 2 grandparents, or whatever, they're fucked, right? If you just got staff coming in on circulation, different carers coming in every day, different foster parents every week, right? Then you got problems. I'm sorry, you just do. It's bad. It's not good for
Alison,
kids.
Go ahead. Alison?
Okay, just a sec. Just a sec. Yes. Well, what I was going to say is that what I meant is you need to be able to,
get the kid into a stable home as early as possible.
Yeah. Get them into like to overcome the abandonment.
Yeah.
Because that is a damage. And the fact that we just allow a woman to walk in and out of the kid's life like that is unbelievable.
Well, we wouldn't want to inconvenience the woman. I mean,
walk out and then back in if she wants.
But this is certainly not the situation.
We give her every option to walk back in. We wait. We literally handicap the child by waiting to see if the mom will walk back in. Ugh.
Okay.
So annoying.
Let's play some more.
For the kid to kill him, like
say what?
Dude, it's not for the benefit of the kid. Like the woman can make.
Wait, what do you mean to kill who?
I mean, I'm pro-life, so again, yeah.
Abort the baby.
So, so if we're going to go for the benefit of the kid, like if your argument is, let's do what's best for the benefit of the kid, the benefit of the kid is not killing the child. Right? I mean, for me, like I believe it's a kid, right? You might not.
But what's that have to do with the fairness to the man? I don't understand that.
You don't understand.
For fuck's sake. Okay, so let the man kill the child. Okay, he just has to wait until it's out of the mother's body because this is all about bodily autonomy for the woman. Okay, so just let the child be born. The child's now out of the woman's body. The man is more responsible for the child than the woman is. So let the man kill it. How about that?
Yeah, well, he's being obtuse. I don't know if it's on purpose.
Oh no, and that's why you have to actually confront someone this dishonest and this fucked, right?
Yeah.
You have to confront him with that because that's what you're arguing for. You're arguing, okay, that men are more responsible. Men are more responsible. Well, that means they have greater ownership of the child, doesn't it? Because they're more responsible for it. They're more responsible for its existence. They're more responsible for everything about it, right? They're more responsible for the fact that it exists in the first place. So, if he doesn't want it, we don't want to interfere with the mother's body, right? We don't want to interfere with her bodily autonomy, but once it's out of the mom, or we could just beam it out into space.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is the question that I put to feminists, right? Okay, so let's say what if, right? Oh, the woman has a right to not carry a child if she doesn't want to, right? If she has the right to not have that parasite in her body if she doesn't want to. Okay, well, beam it into an artificial wound. Like if there was technology where we could beam it out, totally non-invasive, right? Would not damage her at all, and totally safe, painless. Beam that fetus into an artificial womb and give it to the father to raise. Would you be in favor of that?
Of course not.
No. Because it's not about bodily autonomy. It's not about the pregnancy. It's about the product of the pregnancy. It's about parenthood. Mm-hmm. That's what it's about. And that's when you ask women why they have abortions, right? They never say, well, I don't want my body to have to support this parasite. No, they say, I'm not ready to have a kid right now. Or I've already had all the children that I want. Or, I just have too many kids already. Or I'm just not ready to be a parent. Or I'm not ready for the responsibility. Or, I don't want a child right now, but I don't think I would be able to put it up for adoption. And, once it was born, those are the considerations. The aftermath of the pregnancy, those are the considerations, right? Almost universally, when a woman terminates a pregnancy for health reasons, ectopic pregnancy, whatever, right? Right, and that my mom had an ectopic pregnancy. She had an ovary and a fallopian tube removed in between my oldest and my the middle sister, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's usually devastating. Absolutely. My mom waited 2 more years after that before she was willing to take a chance on another pregnancy. And because it was traumatic for her. And there was no way to save that baby, right? the only way to save her was to kill the baby, right? Yeah, no, that's not a choice that women make lightly. That's a choice, and it's not a choice that women make just like, it's not even a choice, right? But, like preeclampsia, anything like that.
Yeah.
Heart defect, whatever, like they now do heart surgery on fetuses in the womb to repair heart defects. My husband's cousin's wife had one of those.
Wow.
Right? Yeah, and so they do surgery in utero to make sure the child survives. I know a woman who got in a car accident at 8 months pregnant, and she had suffered placental abruption. The baby died in utero, and they knew it was dead, and they induced labor, and she gave birth because to do a surgery to remove it would have been more devastating to her body. It would have caused scarring and all kinds of other things. So she just had a natural birth, an induced natural stillbirth.
Okay.
And can you imagine, right?
No, that's tough.
You wanted the baby, you got in a car accident, baby's dead. Now you have to go through all the labor pains and all the pushing.
But I thought it was just a clump of cells. I gotta move on.
Oh, geez.
I gotta move on.
Brian.
What?
Yeah, no.
I'm
that's what
being
Ethan
real.
Klein would say.
Like,
no,
I'm sure.
Ethan,
like, well, no, he probably, see, it depends. If it's something that we can use to make women victims, then it's a baby. But if it's just a discussion about, whether, like, if a woman, the problem with the abortion conversation, and this is the reason why I'm more on the pro-life side at this point, is because the whole thing is predicated on the idea that a pregnant woman gets to decide her opinion on whether or not she's carrying a baby or if it's a parasite. That she decides. So because if a woman that's pregnant is murdered, we call that a double homicide.
Yeah, no.
Why do we do
if
that?
A woman,
right?
If a pregnant woman is beaten up on the street and her baby dies, we call that a homicide.
Yeah, we call that a homicide.
If that fetus was viable,
so
in most places, right?
So the only case
24
where it's
weeks and more.
Yeah, the only case where it isn't the case that the baby the woman is carrying is if the woman decides that she's like, yeah, this isn't a baby actually, it's just a clump of cells. So this is why I'm just gonna clown on that every time I hear it. I'm gonna clown on it and I'm gonna say it's just a clump of cells. So because that's their logic, but. I got a couple super chows. So one from Anonymous for $5. Thank you. Says, we care so much about women's sexual enjoyment that we expect them to accept male genital mutilation because women think it looks better and that foreskin is gross. Yeah. I've actually heard some men try to make that argument, as well. And
I got into an argument with like and like I normally I don't buy into like certain terms, right? Like circumfetishist.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I just basically think that if there's a man who maybe got circumcised as an adult and likes it better or whatever, he supports it or whatever, right? I don't like put any kind of like nefarious motivation behind that. I just figure like he wants to feel normal and he wants to feel like his parents didn't injure him and, all of those things, right? Yeah. And, but yeah, no, I got into an argument not too long ago on Twitter with somebody who was like lying through his teeth. I was like, he said, I had it done as an adult and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, like how long ago did you have it done? And he said 6 months. And then somebody posted tweets the guy had made saying the exact same thing from like 3 years ago.
Ah, weird.
Yeah.
Look, if you do it to yourself as an adult, that's your business. But I don't think you should do it because some woman said I prefer it. It's fuck you. Like just I would not.
Would you be like, okay, so that I love him so much, but he says he won't marry me unless I get a boob job.
Yeah, exactly. It's
really
it's worse than that because like you're removing something, right? Like but yeah, it's stupid. I wouldn't like. I think it's the worst reason to do anything, and I it's obviously like mutilation, period. Like, there's no excuse. But anyway, so thank you for that, anonymous person. Plain Dane gives us $5 and says, any of you seen the shorts for TikToks of American babies with British accents? They got it from watching Peppa Pig. No, but I haven't seen that.
Yeah, no, it's hilarious. It's like the little 3-year-old girl. Here's a present for you under the tree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at Christmas when I went to visit them.
All right, I got 2 Rumble rants from Richard B. Air for $1 each. One says, wouldn't artificial wombs make women redundant, Karen? I don't know.
Yeah, that's why they don't want them.
Yeah, that's why they don't want them. Yeah.
Yeah, because, like, and I don't think it would make women redundant because... No. Like there's a big debate going on over the last couple of weeks on Twitter about whether it's gynocentrism or gene centrism. That's the biological impulse, the biological drive, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm a firm believer that the biological drive is for gynocentrism because it exists across species. Okay, a certain type of privilege for females. Right? And, okay, do chimpanzees know that sex makes babies? Do gorillas know that sex makes babies? Do baboons know that sex makes babies? Do dogs know that sex makes babies? I don't think that they make the connection necessarily. They just want the sex. They just want the boom.
Well, that's enough to drive the reproduction.
Yeah.
Thank you, Richard. Then the other one, he says, artificial wombs will disenfranchise women. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, it would disenfranchise women in terms of, I guess you men would legally have the option. No, don't give her an abortion. Just remove the fetus intact and put it in an artificial womb, and I'll take ownership and responsibility for it. Right? Okay. A father could say that because that's half my genetic material. Right. And once the woman's body is not the sole real estate, the sole fertile soil in which that life can grow, then men would be able to legally assert their ownership of half of that genetic material and say, well, you don't have a right to destroy my half of that child.
It occurred to me.
What do you think this is, King Solomon?
It occurred to me that abortion gives women the position that we used to give God.
Yeah.
Determining when a life is a life and when a soul is a soul.
That's right.
Yeah. And that makes it really interesting that the argument is between Christians and gynocentrists, like pure gynocentrists.
Yeah.
At the very least, Christian God gives Christian men a role in their family and in their communities. Even if they have what I would say is this extreme skepticism towards male sexuality that in the absence of God really just becomes cancerous. But yeah, it's like the gynocentrists are like, no, it's women who should function in the role of God. And they're like, no, actually, it's God who decides when life is a life.
It's Mother Gaia. Everything female is just a version of Mother Gaia.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a thank you to give because somebody slid in under the wire. I think there's only half an hour left.
Slid in, but it was just the tip.
Erotic. Erotic.
What's the thank you?
No. You know what soundbite you need?
What?
You know what soundbite you need, Brian?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Is Gilbert Gottfried.
Oh.
Okay.
I'm sure this
reading 50 Shades of Grey. Okay. And when he touched my clitoris. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Alison, what's the thank you? I'll find it.
Okay, Shu Kami. I'm pretty sure that's not a legal name because I think that Kami means God. So gives us $5. So thank you, Kami.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mark G gives us $50.
Who?
Oh,
thank you, Mark G.
Mark G.
Yeah, that's very nice.
Oh.
So fetch. What is fetch? Oh, it's like slang from England.
Fetch.
All right. So now we're over. So thank you everybody for helping us out to get over. That's really appreciated. Well, it's still gonna be open for half an hour. So if you want to help out, speedthebadger.com/support. It's not really critical because we have reached our goal. But it's always appreciated. It will go to fill some hole somewhere.
Yeah, or it'll give us a head start on next month.
Yeah. Okay, so a little bit more. Is there any can we go to a new fucking conversation, please?
I was trying to. Take us into the weeds like 8 times.
I don't know what. I don't know what. Like, if there's there's no like big, Christopher Nolan plot twist reveal. It's basically Ethan being a disingenuous piece of shit for 3 hours. That's the whole video. But it doesn't. I can see
that.
Yeah,
and
that's
subtle too. It's really subtle because no, it is subtle because he's not really at this point like saying she's like pick me.
He's not ranting. He's not doing a jank and losing his temper. But
make me a sandwich. But
yeah,
but it's subtle because he is reframing everything in a very disingenuous way. He's essentially like a prosecutor saying, well, if you can't solve the case, then this is the guy who's guilty. And it's like, no, that's not how it works.
Yeah, you can't argue that he's not guilty. If you can't finger someone else and prove that they're the one who did it, then we have to assume that this guy...
Then we must convict.
Yeah, we must convict.
If you cannot solve the case...
convict someone.
Yeah.
If the defense cannot solve the case, then we must convict.
Yeah.
Like, that's totally disingenuous and it's non-productive, except for creating an air of shit particles.
Well, and I love
any kind of reason happening.
I love how he reframes a situation where men should have less responsibility because they have less power and less options, as one where they, by definition of they're less power and there are fewer options. Right, where they are more responsible.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Men have all the agency, all of it.
Oh yeah, no, hyper agency, like that is the term that I coined.
Mm-hmm.
Right, like I didn't coin the term hypo agency. That was Stardust, but I termed the coin hyper agency. That is what the perception or the expectation that we place on men.
Yeah. All right, I'll play a little bit more.
It's not fair, again, that men have the choice, that men do not have the choice.
I understand what you're saying.
And women, yeah.
But then, okay, whatever. We're arguing in circles a little bit. Let's talk about abortion then, since you're against abortion.
I can skip this part. Maybe I'll go here and see what they say.
No, let's just go to the point where she rage quits. At least let's have some drama.
Let's just go all the way.
All right, I'll just go to right here where the most replayed is.
Family. Yeah, I mean, you were even implying earlier.
First of all, it is relevant that your mom is the president when you're talking about.
You didn't know any of the backlash I got.
Well, who cares? You said it. Just own it.
No, I'm asking. You didn't know any of the backlash I got.
I didn't know about it.
No idea. Even though you got that from a video that my ex-co-host made about me.
This is a little bit far. What is the allegation?
Okay, so basically, what Ethan's trying to do. So Pearl was reading from a book by Thomas Sowell.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, on her show, it's mostly about relationships. But a lot of the guests she has on are black, and she's in London, so they're like London blacks, like Caribbean blacks.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
And they come on her show, and sometimes they are very pleasant, and sometimes they're very disagreeable. Usually, the disagreeable ones are women, but there are pleasant ones too. I've watched some of her streams, and I guess because they all tend to be black, then the discussion or the topic of racism comes up, right, and slavery, even though we're talking about Caribbean blacks, not American blacks. Not that there's really a difference. And
but there was slavery in the Caribbean.
Yeah, sure there was, but the point is that that was a long time ago. But she was reading from a book by Thomas Sowell, who, in case you guys don't know, is a black economist that is big on looking at data and studies. Yeah, he went to Harvard.
Harvard economist.
He learned under Milton Friedman. He's very libertarian, and he was the bane.
But he used to be a communist.
Yeah, he used to be. Yes, but then he woke up and smelled the coffee. And anyway, so he wrote a book called Basic Economics, which is partly tongue-in-cheek because a lot of people don't get basic economics, but also it shows the extent of his understanding. And he does a lot of researching on culture and history and all kinds of really fascinating stuff that we are lied to about all the time. And so she was reading about slavery, essentially saying that, you know, there's this image of roots, right? And she was basically reading this thing where Thomas Sowell would say, well, actually, you know, there are a couple of things. One, you know, slavery was only a very small percentage of the population had slaves. Most of the people who owned slaves were really good to their slaves because they had to be. I mean, you wouldn't want to, like, you know, beat your slaves within an inch of their life if you want them to do work for you.
Well, it's like owning a car.
Yeah, it's like owning a car or a pet. And I know it still sounds bad, but that doesn't matter because, you know, there are more slaves today than there ever was in the past. So, you know, you can't really complain about it in that context. And so essentially she was adding more truth to this narrative so people aren't thinking about fucking Django Unchained whenever the topic of slavery comes up, because it's a cartoonish, exaggerated, untrue thing, right? And so this one of the people that work, so a bunch of the people who work for her are also black. Like there's guys in Africa that do like her editing for her, and there are guys who help produce the show. So, you know, she's working with a lot of minority people in London. And I guess like when she was reading, she was quoting Thomas Sowell. She wasn't expressing her opinion. One of the guys on her team, I guess, got mad because I guess he felt like she was being racist or something. And he went and made a video about it. And Ethan is using that to try to paint Pearl as a racist because, well, basically the feminist stuff, it wasn't sticking. So now he's just trying to nail her with this. And this is why she leaves, because, you know, she got into a lot of trouble because, again, you know, when you read out these things that a black man wrote about, she got a bunch of backlash. And basically what it was is, I don't care what you saw, I don't care what the truth is, I'm mad at you because you're not supposed to say that. Period. That's it. You know? And so I really disagree with that, treating her that way. But this is what happens when you try to tell the truth. Or at least what you know. I mean, like, no one's not even coming forward and saying, well, I have some counter evidence. No, it's just like, you are canceled. You shouldn't be able to do this. Can't get her fired, get rid of her, whatever.
You can't say this. That's like the top thing. Like, when people start flinging names around and like derogatories around and pejoratives around, and then, you know, they say you're not allowed to say that, right? Instead of actually telling you how you're wrong. Mm-hmm. That's when you know you're on the right track, right? Especially if that person is an expert.
I mean, this is basically,
or an alleged expert.
Absolutely. This is basically like where we find ourselves. I mean, I think that talking about like women is probably more dangerous than talking about minorities. But anyway, Alison, what were you going to say?
More dangerous. Yeah, well, there's a couple things now. The reason why it's more dangerous is because they have less defense. You see how he switched to racism?
Yeah.
That's what they do.
That's what
they
I'm saying.
absolutely can't make accurate, or they can't make realistic arguments stick when it comes to women. So they switch to black people, they switch to gay people, they switch to trans people in order to bolster their arguments. Because it's like these two arguments, the draft and reproductive freedom, 100% black and white, men do not have the rights that women have in these areas. And these are fundamental areas of human freedom and human dignity that men don't have rights in. So this is like, there is no, after recognizing the truth of the draft, and if you can't get it there, then recognizing the truth of reproductive rights and the fact that men don't have any, period, black and white.
Ever. Yeah.
Legally, they don't. Like, it's a legal precedent. Men have reproductive rights. The courts say no. Okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so we know this. These two examples 100% destroy feminist
argument.
Yeah,
absolutely,
100% So he's moving on to racism because if he can prove that she's wrong,
then it will yeah,
by transitive property, then he's proven that her
everything else she says is wrong.
Her argument against feminism is wrong.
Yeah,
that's why they do this, and that's why these fellow travelers. And that's the thing. You have to keep to the the reason why it's more dangerous is because it's more dangerous for them.
Yeah.
Because there is no argument. Like, there's no argument that we live in a patriarchy that benefits men over women.
No.
There is absolutely none. None that exists that's legitimate in any
or that we ever have.
Yep.
Or that we ever have, yeah.
At least
It's
in
not-
terms of recorded history.
Yeah.
So they have to use these isms, which incidentally were men subjugating groups of other men, other groups, because they did not serve or were dangerous to their women. So these isms, like,
yeah, no, and the issue too is that, like, sexism exists, right? Of course it does. Like, we talk about sexism all day, right? And you know, that has existed since the beginning of differentiated gametes. Okay, so how long? I want to say, like,
if by
35?
sexism you mean the acknowledgement that men and women are different and therefore should be
males
treated
and females
differently.
are different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's really sexist.
I want to say 35 billion years, but probably longer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tribalism did not begin until social animals appeared, right?
Mm-hmm.
Until animals began to segregate into social groups, right? And so it's like a completely different thing.
Sure.
It's a completely, because if it's every man woman for himself, there is no tribalism. There's only male against male to get all the poon, right?
Yeah.
Or as much poon as possible. And, you know, like, you even look at birds. Okay, so birds, they have, or let's look at zebras. Okay, zebras, you have a herd of zebras, and they're all assholes. Like, they're not friendly with each other, right? The only reason they hang out together is because, you know what? If you're a zebra in a group of 300 zebra,
you're hard to pick out.
You're harder to take out, you know, in terms of predators, right? Because you can, you know, like, you can hide among the crowd, right? That doesn't mean you get along with anybody. That doesn't mean you have any bonds with anybody. That doesn't mean anything.
Horses, though.
Compare. Well, that's why horses can be domesticated and zebras can't. Zebras can be tamed.
Horses are super social.
Extremely. They have family values, right? So you have a male, he's in charge. Then you have his favorite female and her kids. You even look at how they run across the plains. You have him at the lead. You have the top female, right, and her foals behind her. And then you have the next three females and their foals behind them. And then you have all of the rest behind them. And he's the leader. And when the other males reach maturity, they get kind of pushed to the periphery. And, you know, and it's like, that's how it works. Like, because they have...
Well, also...
And that's actually a patriarchy, because those males that are pushed to the periphery, those adult males who are pushed to the periphery, right? They're like the ring of warriors around the camp, right? And all of the women and children are inside being protected by them. It's like, which is patriarchy and gynocentrism all at the same time.
Go ahead,
I just
Alison.
want to point out that sometimes horses, like herds, will have multiple stallions too.
Yes, sometimes they will.
Because they
right?
do,
just like some prides of lions, and it's usually two brothers or two males.
Lions often have multiples. Like,
yes,
multiple males, but
it's either brothers, like blood brothers, like biological brothers, or it's some males who got together when they were ousted from their maternal pride, right? And they stumbled across each other, or they just hung together because they were like, strength in numbers, and let's make a team, and we can cooperate and survive, and we'll bring down bigger animals together than separate, and then they form bonds, male bonds, and then they go and they take over a pride.
And also, they found that I think the infanticide of the male lions may be overstated, and often it's other females engaging in infanticide.
Sure.
I think.
Yeah, well, other females engage in infanticide and mothers
like when
engage in infanticide.
cats, that's really high. Yeah, so it's like all of these creatures, they have like family values. They care about each other. But what would
except for it's not gene-centric. At least not in the sense of we care about the children, right? And this is the thing that, like, you know, like we're gene-centric. We care about the children, not the wombs. No, we care about the wombs because when males commit infanticide in the wild, why are they doing that? Because there are infants and juveniles who are nursing and preventing the females from becoming fertile again, going into estrus, because they're nursing. And so if you don't kill them and you just wait it out for the 4 years or however long it takes, right, you might be ousted and miss your chance at reproducing, right? Because none of the females are going to mate with you because, you know, like they're nursing their young. Okay, so you have that male motivation. The female motivation is, okay, it's a particularly lean season, like there's just not enough game here, right? I'll live to reproduce another day, kill the litter, right? Why would I invest in babies who are going to, you know, it's either we all die, me and the babies, or the babies die. Or they have a small litter, right? Very small litter. And in the case of the lions, right? And they're like, or I could kill these 2 cubs and try again and maybe have 6 in the same amount of time, right?
Uh-huh.
And then I'm 4 cubs ahead, right? And none of this is actually a thought process, or it's these cubs are sickly and these cubs are healthy. I'll kill off the sickly ones because they're just a waste of breast milk because they're going to die anyway. Right? And those are the calculations. And that is gene-centric. Infanticide is gene-centric, right? Does not care about the value of the life of every child. It cares about the womb. It cares about the real estate. The real estate. It's location, location, location. The only location for gestation is the womb. That's what is the priority for gene-centrism, which means that gene-centrism is gynocentrism.
Right. All right. I got a super chow. Anonymous. Feminism uses race and sexuality as a shield despite having racist origins. Hashtag not your shield and occult KKK feminist founding mothers. Thank you.
Oh, no. I watched in the 2012 National Organization for Women Conference, them amending their charter. Oh, women's reproductive rights. The bits on the clauses about women's reproductive rights. They say, oh, just scratch out reproductive and add a bunch of things. We'll change it to women's rights, immigrant rights, and LGBTQ rights.
Right, yeah, of course. I mean,
those are all now part of the war on women.
Yeah, it's all a means to an end. I mean, it's just critical it's not even really about women. They just know it works. It's the same.
They co-opt all these other groups that actually have real problems with bigotry, oppression, discrimination, whatever, right? They co-opt those.
The people who look, I think the populations do have problems, but the groups that advocate for them are these groups. They're all woke, feminist, fucking lefty shit. Like it doesn't matter if
using them as human shields. Yeah.
How much money did Black Lives Matter make?
Hilarious.
You know.
This is what I find hilarious about the trans women issues. Like, you realize that the trans women are getting this ascendancy because you're appropriating their issues to append to women's.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's another buttress to your argument so that
and the trans issue is going to be the civil war that has the potential to break feminism.
Yeah.
Well,
it is.
Or set it back.
Yeah.
Well, oh God, wouldn't that be wonderful? If it just broke feminism.
It would be nice.
Well, because the thing is that they, like, I've been watching how feminists operate, and they really hate, like, a lot of them really want to push all these narratives to destroy the relationship between men and women. And conservatives consistently buy into it. It's like a conservative will come over and see a feminist, and the feminist is literally stabbing the nuclear family to death. And the conservative will be like, what are you doing there? And the feminist will be like, I'm protecting women. And the conservative will be like, how can I help you? Let me stab them for you. You know, they're so stupid.
What's hilarious too, right? Because I was talking when my dance card filled up, part of it was like we had to go visit my mother-in-law, right? And so which is why I was late for the show. But we were talking, and we were talking about my husband's previous job, right? So he was a contractor at a major multinational infrastructure firm, right? He was in tech, and so highly technical work. And he was a contractor, and he's Métis, but he looks white. Okay, and I kept on telling him, like, draw attention to the fact that you're Métis. Please, 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 just do that, right? Because, his boss, his manager, put him in for a conversion from contractor to employee 5 months after he started, right? Started there. And that used to be how it worked. Because this is a highly technical field, you need to actually... The 3-month probation period before you actually have to give severance pay, right? The employer has to give severance pay and benefits and things like that. It's not long enough for most people to prove that they can do the job, right? So they keep them on as contractors until they've proved that they can do the job, that they're competent, and they're trained up and everything, and then they would hire them on as employees, and then you got job security, and you got benefits, and you got all this other stuff, and it's like, great, right? That's how it used to work like 10 years ago. But now, okay, the DEI requirements for a big corporation, right? Well, that's just their employees, right? So their DEI score is based on the people that are their designated employees, official employees of the firm, right? Contractors don't affect that, okay? And this is tech. So 95% of the workers are white or Asian and male, all right? And that's just how it is. That's just the labor pool. So he gets put in for a conversion and didn't get it, even though he had advocates all over the place, right? The vice president of the company was like, no, we can't do it. We can't afford another white male on the payroll. Bad for our DEI score, okay? So I'm telling my husband's mother, right? Okay, so there's this couple that he knew from that workplace, right? And she was highly competent. They're both Filipino, right? She's highly competent, and so of course she got her conversion almost immediately. It was like literally 6 weeks. She was there 6 weeks as a contractor, and boom, she's converted to an employee. 8 years later, 9 years later, okay, he's still a contractor because he's Asian and male. Okay? And they're not married yet. And you know why they're not married yet? It's because she wants to make a family and have babies. And it's getting down to the wire here. She's like 34, 35 years old, right? But she wants to be a stay-at-home mother with her kids. So she needs a husband who's employed. Not a husband who's a contractor, who can be fired at will, who can be held legally liable for any mistake he makes, who can be sued, right? Who can go to jail if he makes a big error, right? Go to prison. Okay, she does not want that. She wants a husband who's an employee. He can't become an employee. Like, they would have been married 7 years ago if he was also an employee. but they won't hire him on because he'd fuck with their DEI score. So they are literally disrupting family formation for people who want to form families, have children, do it the responsible way as an intact couple who are married, right, and have both parents involved. This is what they're doing. They're fucking with that, and they're making it impossible.
Okay, I'm gonna move on. Alison, do we do any more of this, or Alison? She's muted.
Sorry, no, we don't. I don't think we do. Unless you want to watch. Let's see. I guess let's see the drama. Let's see the drama. I mean,
it's not. I think it's just her saying, you know. I think it's just her just saying, like, you know, this is, you're not being, like, honest,
yeah,
and I think I'm just gonna leave.
Listening to this guy and arguing with this dude for like what 6 hours, 7 hours now, Brian. Having her stand up and say you're full of shit is going to be cathartic for me.
Oh yeah, no. Can we just see it? Can we just see the clowns?
Whatever she does, even just walking away from this bullshit is going to be cathartic.
Right.
See, like, this is dishonest. It's not honest.
But what's the problem? You're getting backlash for something that you think.
But I'm saying, so you're like,
you're not. That. You brought your parents up when you were talking about hiring people, didn't you?
I said, I think it's a bit.
You talk about your parents all the time. You talk about how your dad is rich. You did a tour of his whole barn with the bowling alley and fucking recreational stuff in it. Like, why am I not allowed to talk?
I'm saying, like, you even just said that you knew. Like, because you got that clip from an like.
Okay, who cares?
We're not here to protect your reputation.
Yeah, I mean, who cares? Let's say I didn't know about it to the extent that it was such an issue for you, but let's just say it was. I mean,
I do have to go though, because I have a show coming up. So.
Okay, let's just end on this note.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pausing there for the banana.
Let's just end on this note, and then he's going to
give me the last word.
He's going to pull a Cenk Uygur. Karen, you're radical. I think you're radical, and I don't agree with anything you say, and I think you're totally radical and full of shit. And click.
Yeah, and he's already starting to poison them well by, oh, your father's rich. Like, who cares?
No, and then he's going to eat. She's going to leave, and then he's going to like spend the next half hour shit talking her.
Okay,
yeah, that's probably about right.
Slavery was embellished because some masters had good relationships with their masters. Some slaves had good relationships with their masters.
All right.
But don't you see how easy it is to just say, I don't think it was embellished?
No, actually, she's right. Like, Thomas Sowell did the research on that. That doesn't excuse slavery as an act. It just means that, like, the narrative is not reality. That's all.
Yeah.
It pisses me off that he's being this minute. I would have told him, but actually, yes, it was. Yes, I believe he was right. Yes, no one could possibly benefit from a plantation where the slaves are all on death's doorstep because they just felt like beating up black people that day. That's not a thing. It's not a thing.
On the other hand, let's just take a look at the Chinese in Canada who built the Trans-Canada.
Oh, that's not slavery.
No. It wasn't slavery.
Yeah.
Because they were being paid a wage, right? So there was no investment because, behind that dead Chinaman is another 100 Chinamen who need a wage.
Yeah.
Right? That's the thinking.
True about a lot of immigrant men.
I mean,
yes, that's the thinking behind. That was what replaced slavery.
Yeah.
Was, like when you buy something, when you buy a home, you invest in it, you keep it up, you maintain it, you put in a new roof when it needs it, you deal with a flood when there's a flood, you deal with all that thing, you keep the lawn up, you want to maintain the property value, all of those things, you invest in it, right? Okay, and you keep it maintained. But if you rent a house, why not have a house wrecking party every weekend?
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can just go rent another one.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least that's what you could do.
Well, I suppose, but again, I don't think...
Until you got a reputation, right?
Yeah.
And back then, like you had so many people with empty apartments that they needed to rent out that even if you destroyed somebody else's apartment, you could just find another person willing to rent to you. That's what it was like for the Chinese who built the railway in Canada.
Yeah.
Was paid a pittance, barely enough to survive, right? Not looked after, not maintained, because if that person died, if that worker died, there's just dozens more who are eager to take his place, to not starve, right? And all you have to invest in them is 5 cents an hour. You don't have to invest $1,000 in the person and their survival and their health and well-being. You just have to pay 5 cents an hour. That's it.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Let's go. Let's
finish this.
Man, you guys act just like Abba and Preach.
Like
you
Pearl,
act just like them.
Wait, Pearl, I don't think it's a secret that some masters had good relationships with their slaves. I don't think that's a secret. There's been a whole
thank you. I really appreciate you having me on, but I'm gonna go. Thank you,
George.
Thank you.
Okay, I appreciate. Okay, have a good night.
Love.
Yeah, she hung up.
Yeah, but
well, I mean, they're not. Look,
I like that it said love.
They're not having a serious conversation. Period. Like
no, they're not. Like, look at that smarmy ass face. Okay, you are so slappable, dude. I would use every ounce of my female privilege to slap that face till you could never smile again.
Yeah, that's like I won.
I would grab you by the hair, put you behind me, and make you lick my sweaty butt crack. That is how smug you look.
Yeah.
Okay, I wouldn't do it, but I'd fantasize about it.
Yeah, Pearl also brought up the author
after not wiping very well.
Pearl also brought up, and again, this is just a diversion, but really, it's still the argument is still like not at all credible. Like the guy who authored the book Roots said that he embellished everything. They lied. They lied, okay? So we can't look at that as historical. Like, why don't we talk to the people who did the fucking work? So when Thomas Sowell, who does the work, he knows shit that, like, you know, I don't know anyone else that knows it as well. He's looked into every group of people. And so, if he puts something forward, I mean, I learned what ratchet behavior comes from. It comes from Scotland, which is crazy, but it's true. You know, so like when Pearl says, well, look, these things were blown out of proportion, and it was in one, you know, like it's a minor part of her platform, but it comes up because there are black people that come on her show. You know, this is what she goes to, and it's not illegitimate, but Ethan doesn't care about the truth. This is the thing that I have learned from watching debates with people like this. This person, the woman from what's the is it the Majority Report? I always forget her name.
But, yeah.
She used to be on the Young Turks. And Hassan. They don't look. Their only goal is to make you look bad. That's it. They don't care. Like when we talk about men's issues, we're talking about identifying the problems and discussing potential solutions. Period. Nothing else. I don't care about like subscribers. I don't care about any of that. I just care about what is true and what are our options. What can we do? What can we, you know, push for? How can we advocate, right? These people don't want to fix anything because if they did, they would be curious, but they're not. They're just gatekeeping. They're just trying to maintain the status quo and push it the other way as much as possible, period. That's all they want to do. This is why I invite people from that side on the show all the time. They almost never come on. And I know why. Because they wouldn't be able to withstand my position. They would have to accept it or they'd have to rage quit. So just, you know, this really just...
Yes, I know. It's infuriating. Listening to this whole conversation has been an exercise in being infuriated because it's going like I know people talk about us going off into the weeds, but usually we're just
know what we're yelling about.
exploring tangents and stuff. However, in this case, this is being disingenuous because the conversation or the debate was about the legitimacy of the feminist allegation.
Yeah.
And she was probably bringing up counter evidence to that allegation, counter evidence that's completely 100% case closed.
Yeah, and he's just like, well, that doesn't matter because this. That doesn't matter because
that doesn't matter because you haven't solved the problem.
And that's actually the reverse of what you're saying.
Yeah, and
right?
let's talk about how you're racist. Let me open up this fucking can of worms over here that I've been saving in case I get cornered because everything else isn't working.
Yeah, no, it's like that argument, the perpetual argument, which is like over child custody, right? Mm-hmm. And once you finally empirically prove to feminists that women basically are favored in family court for child custody, they're just favored, and men have a really difficult time, okay? If you can actually prove that to them and they accept that, then they just turn around and say, well, that's sexism against women.
Yeah.
Right? Because women are expected. Women feel pressure, right? And it's like, yeah, but they're not forced to do anything. The only person forced to do anything in this situation is the man. He's forced to not see his kids. He's forced to pay for them. He's forced to like not have anything to do with the decision making in their lives, right? He's forced to do all of those things, right? Nobody forced her to ask the court for sole custody. Nobody forced her to not share custody with dad. Nobody forced her to not give full custody to the dad because she was busy with her career or some shit, right? And just have visitation every other weekend and Wednesday evenings, right? Nobody forced her to do that. No, she got what she wanted. That's now oppression. That is now discrimination against women. When women get what they want, that's discrimination against them. Because the reason that they want what they want is because of unfair expectations on women. Really?
So everything is just, it all lands on discrimination against women. We got a super chow, and then I think we need to,
I need to cook my husband some dinner.
Yeah, we need to go on with our lives.
Oh God! It's been a day. No nap today. It's been very bad. It's a good thing I got to sleep until 7:30.
Well, we have a JoJo again, so you guys can give him hellos.
Oh, JoJo. Just put him on the stream that you're showing.
He is on the screen, yeah. We did put him on the screen.
No, but replace this smug asshole with him.
Oh, I did. I mean, you guys... you want me to show you the camera? I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah, no, never mind.
I might be able to. I don't know. Oh, you know what? Okay. There is a way. Hold on. I can share the.
It closed stream. It said it. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I gotta show the OBS. That's why.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Oh, hello, JoJo. He's so cute. No, he's so well behaved. It's like, I wish my dogs were like that.
He is very well behaved.
Borat's like that. Kevin, like I said.
I think Ranimer Cam is going to come and see us next weekend with Lauren. And I know that Mike, is not a big dog guy, but I think JoJo can win him over. I think it could change his whole perspective.
Yeah, no. Like I think JoJo could, because JoJo is a very good boy.
Yeah.
Borat, right? Every time I have people over, every time I bring Borat anywhere, people are like, oh my God, I just want to kidnap him, right? Because he's little, okay? He's little, he's unthreatening, right? He's not yappy. He's not yappy, and he doesn't shed because he's got very short hair, and he's got very beautiful, clean lines. He's got the wasp waist and like that. He's just like perfectly proportioned.
Yeah.
And he just likes love. He just likes love. He's everybody's best friend. And he's just like, oh, will you pet me? Oh, I'll be like totally calm. Ooh, if you pet me, I'll just lean into you and I'll just slowly like slide my way onto your lap. Right? And then I'll do cute things with my paws. And I'll be like really quiet. And then when you're tired of petting me, I'll just curl up and go to sleep right next to you, because with my butt pressed up against you, because I want to be close to you, even though we only just met. And that is Borat. And he's like the most wonderful dog ever. And if I could figure out a way to stud him out, I think we could have like $1,500 per stud per bitch.
Wow.
Right? Yeah. Plus the pick of the litter. Because this dog is just amazing. Kevin, total opposite. She's just like
Alison.
Person repellent.
Do you have any thank yous or anything last minute?
No thank yous. Okay. No last minute anything. But I will throw my pooch into the ring. I sent you a video. It's pretty cute that you can show if you're capable.
Is it a YouTube video?
No, I sent it through Discord.
I see.
So it's a link. Yes, it's right there. I don't know how you would make that happen. But,
yeah, you just insist that if we do. Okay, hold on. I don't know if I can do this.
She's got a very professional looking German Shepherd looking dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He looks like a working dog.
Maybe I can put it. No, I can't do that. Maybe I can put it here.
I might. Maybe you could maybe share it.
No, it's not working. Well, hold on.
If you open it up in a link, maybe that will work.
There's no link. I don't see it. No, if I click the.
All right. Well, I wanted to say, you work on that. I will tell because you read the Super Chow out, right? I could read it if you want.
Yeah, go ahead because I'm looking at something else.
Okay, Anonymous gives us $5 and says, "Who will trans men side with during the Civil War? Are they going the gynocentric simp route or side with trans women?" I would say, but honestly, the whole trans thing is really fascinating because there's a reason why we're now on trans women in terms of appropriating victimhood of a group for the whole feminist cause, which is what this is ultimately. They need to have new forms of victimhood to buttress their claims that they are oppressed by a society that bends over backwards to benefit women. According to whoever is the person who has the podium of how are we going to benefit women. So it might not actually be benefiting women, but because feminists speak the loudest on that topic, they are the ones who set the agenda. But they always need new victimhoods, which is why we're at the trans women now. But the problem with
trans men, right? Trans men who pass, they have a few kind of universal complaints. Being a man is lonely. Mm-hmm. If you pass, being a man is lonely. Being a man is difficult, right? Like it's not easy. It's not easy street. You don't get privilege. You don't get help. You don't get friendliness. You don't get human touch as much. You don't get any kind of sympathy from either men or women. It's very difficult to feel socially connected compared to being female or passing as female, presenting as female, and they it's just like Nora Vincent, I think it was. What was her book called?
I know the one.
Yeah. Self-Made Man or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where she basically went out a couple times a week for like 6 months, like totally as a man, right? Like tried to date, tried to like just be out in the world, not even at her job, but just tried to exist as a man in the world, make friends and stuff like that. She had to check herself into a freaking mental facility afterwards because she was that lonely. She was that she didn't go through any hormonal stuff, right? Mm-hmm. She wasn't trans, right? She was just a lesbian woman. And she was just like, dating women as a man, it's way harder than dating women as a lesbian. Because even if you hit on a straight woman as a lesbian, they don't find it threatening.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and it's just like it's not easy being a man. And part of that is men, right? Like other men, right? Their friendships form differently, and part of the reason why she had such emotional fallout, psychological fallout from it was she's actually not geared towards male sociality, right? But or in the intramale kind of thing. But But yeah, she was just like, yeah, no, women treated me like shit. Like, I would go up and ask a woman if she had the time. Like, do you know what the time is? And she'd act like I was, gonna hurt her.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody touched me. Like, waitresses didn't touch me, waiters didn't touch me, nobody touched me. Just in passing, on the shoulder or whatever. Nobody did that. Like, she was just like, it was a completely alien experience, and it damaged me for a long time. It was traumatic, right? And
it's like that. It's like that guy, the trans man that made a TikTok video where he was like, "It's so lonely,"
yeah, and he's crying.
Yeah, and he's like, crying, and
I'm like, you know what? If you were an actual man, you would have trained yourself out of crying.
You would have been cope with that better if you were, yes, if you were a biological male. But look, I got the video up. I'm gonna play it. So this is Allison's dog Scipio. I think it's short. I don't know. Hopefully it is. He's just kind of standing there. Oh, he's gonna chase the light.
He's a very handsome boy.
I can't see it, Dan. Like,
you should be able to see me sharing the screen.
We can't see it in Discord.
You're not sharing anything there, Brian.
Oh, well, no, I think you've seen this video. The dog is running back and forth. Okay. All right.
And then I think after like loving on our dogs, that's probably it's time for me to go cook something for my husband.
Yeah.
Yeah. The point
he doesn't deserve it, but
I have these dew protectors on his claws, his dew claws.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
He's doing this weird stepping thing.
Yeah.
Why aren't you just cutting them off?
No, because they help him grip things and balance.
Well, how many does he have?
They get snagged on things.
He has food. They get snagged on things, but I don't want to get them cut off.
Are they on his back feet or his front feet?
Front feet.
No, they're just front feet. They're front feet. They're like little thumbs.
There is thumbs.
There is thumbs. Yes.
Why are they getting snagged on things? Just keep him trimmed.
Because he's a freak. He can be a bit of a lunatic. Like he's just like, oh, this is.
He goes rock climbing and shit. Yeah.
Hey, this is a high surface. So I'm just gonna jump off this. I'm like, no, don't do that. Like.
Yeah, no. I had a dog who was like, she would actually rock climb. She would climb up almost vertical surfaces, boulders on the beach and stuff, and.
Yeah, so he tore his little dew claws, and I'm like, God, well, maybe I should get something to protect them. I don't want to cut them off.
No. Unless they're on his back feet. My dog with the dew claws, right, had one on one back foot and two growing out of the same nub on the other back foot, and we had those lopped off because. If
you're worried about hurting the dog.
But thumbs.
It's not
thumbs.
Yeah.
Thumbs are like useful. I would never cut my dog's thumbs off unless they had extra thumbs.
No, we just clip clip Jojo's nails. He has dew claws.
Yeah.
You just clip the tips off so they don't like scratch you or other people, but also so they don't like get them snagged in something. And because my last dog, she had her dew claw snagged on something, and she tried to pull it free, and she like ripped the nail out. Off. Yeah, and that sucked. So I started clipping her nails. But like if you don't feel comfortable, because I know it scares people to do it, they're afraid they're gonna cut a vein. Then groomers will do it. So
yeah, or if you do cut a vein, the dog. If you do cut a vein, it'll bleed like a stuck pig for about like 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And the dog will yelp.
Yeah, they'll yelp.
But and they'll yelp for like just like a couple seconds, right? And then you just put pressure on it and like a bandage, and you hold it. Like, at least Kevin is a psycho, but this is the one thing that she's actually good about, right? Yeah. If there's a problem with her paws, she will let me look and she will let me deal with it. So when my son used to walk her. He'd take her like on 11-kilometer walks every day, right? And so he wore her toe pads down so much that they were cracked, and she had a bunch of blood built up in between her toe pads and the fur in between the pads, and her nails were completely worn down, right? They were just like, she normally has black nails, and they were just like the underbeds left, right? And I was, you can't walk the dog like this. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, just take her around the block, okay? Or 2 blocks or 5 blocks. You don't need to take her 47 fucking blocks, okay? And, but yeah, no, she always lets me fiddle with her paws. She always lets me do it. And this one day, when her claws were starting to finally, her nails were starting to finally grow back from all of this, right? She snagged her claw getting out of her crate in the morning. And so she's limping and limping and limping. And I look, and it's like, oh God, there's a piece of her nail that's like mostly broken off. It's hanging by a thread of like blood vessels and nerve tissue, right? And she's just, it can't stay like that, right? So I call her up, and she's sitting in front of me on the couch, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna touch. And she's like totally trusting me with her paws, because she does that. It's the weirdest thing. She'll bite your fucking face off if you look at her sideways, but she'll let me touch her paws and fuck with them when they're sore. And I got the little guillotine out, clipper out, and I snapped that broken end off, and she squirted blood all over me and all over the sofa, and she yelped, and I just grabbed her paw and I squeezed it.
That's gross.
Yeah, and then I'm like, okay, so we're just gonna sit here until it stops bleeding. And I grabbed some Kleenex and I bundled it up and I like stuck it on it, and I held her paw and I squeezed it for about, I don't know, 2-3 minutes, petted her and calmed her down, and then she went and jumped down, and she was like, oh, this feels so great. And then she came up to me, she's all wiggly and, oh, I'm so happy. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, like, it's like they literally do understand. Oh, it hurt when you were fixing the problem, but now it doesn't hurt anymore. Thank you so much. But yeah, no, like, it's dogs in their claws. Yeah. I don't know. You don't need things to put things on. What, you making them wear booties or what?
They're like socks, sort of. They're like the aerobic, the aerobic socks that we used to wear in the 80s,
leg warmers?
like leg warmers, yeah.
Yeah, no,
here, let me I'll just send it to you.
It's gonna feel weird. He's gonna feel weird. You can't make him wear that.
Can we end it?
Just trim his claws.
Yeah, well, we do that as well. It's just that he has got these he's just really,
they're
he's
big.
a real hard charger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he just he likes to go.
Yeah.
And the reason why I showed this is because of the way he's moving his foot. It's just cute.
Feet. Oh, he's got the big spread.
Yeah. The big spread? What do you mean by that?
Toes spreading out.
Yeah.
When he walks. Right? Like,
hopefully
so they're all like dainty and together and like size 7 narrow, right? When he's lying down. And then when he stands up, they just spread out and they're like triple D width. Yeah. Yeah, no, he's got that. Kevin's got that. Borat's feet are dainty all the time. His toes are always close together.
Tiny little tippy feet.
Yeah, no, he tap dances.
Tap. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so if you're listening to this after the show is done and you want to send us a tip or send us a message, and we'll get back to you
send us a tippy toe or a tippy tap.
Yeah, as soon as we find or as soon as we have a show that's relevant, please go to feedthebadger.com/justthetip and put a little bit in the hat for us. It's always appreciated. And put it back to you, Brian.
Okay, so if you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment, let us know what you guys think about what we discussed on the in terms of the video. There is a link to the full-length podcast in the description if you want to watch it. maybe there's something that you think we should have said, or that we left out, or you wanted to respond to, you can message us and include a time code, and I'll look at it. Because I stopped after this. When she leaves the show, I stopped watching, so I don't know what was discussed afterward. Probably just trash talking her.
Oh God, no! It was like 100% all of that time was them saying shit about her.
Yeah.
And lying about her positions.
Yeah.
And reinforcing their positions and being like, wasn't she fucking stupid and wrongheaded?
Yeah. Well, she got triggered. You triggered, Snowflake?
Yeah, no, she just like rage quit.
Actually, that's funny.
That wasn't even
that wasn't triggering. That was just you're disingenuous. I'm not talking to you anymore.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
but that doesn't matter. They're gonna say that anyways.
She said, "I had okay, you're being dishonest, and I actually have another live stream that I have to do, right? So I'm going. Goodbye."
Yeah.
And you haven't earned the respect of a proper goodbye. It wasn't even a flounce. As flounces go, it wasn't even like, I'm leaving. Fuck you.
It wasn't. But they'll still frame it that way anyways. They don't care. I mean,
but it wasn't like a, you know what, Karen, you go fuck yourself, click. It wasn't even that. And, sorry, but that's not a flounce.
No, I know.
It's just I'm done.
No, I think she handled that well. I'm just saying they're gonna lie about it.
Oh
anyway,
no, they're gonna frame it as like the flounce.
Doesn't matter. It's gonna be clipped out. People are like, oh man, she got triggered. Anyway, so please share this video because sharing is caring. And comment, like, share, subscribe, etc. Thank you guys so much for coming on today's episode of the Fundzerker. Thanks for helping us get to our goal, and we will talk to you all in the next video.
Men's rights activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.